Hey everybody, welcome back! After a big day yesterday of 5 speedrun, we're back with the second part of the grand finals. How are you doing, Mythical?
I'm doing great as always, Twin. Thanks for asking. We saw some pretty high level yesterday. It was really fun to watch the best of the UD all together in one place, really going at it. It's the first time we've had the chance. Everyone's been split up among all the different qualifying events we've had over the course of the season. And it was pretty crazy to me to see how scores that previously would have been tournament winning scores were suddenly just average, and a little bit better was it to top the leaderboard. So that's kind of what we saw yesterday. We saw the good times wind up near the bottom of the leaderboard. So the level of play has been stepped up. It's been a treat to watch. I'm looking forward to more.
So, quick recap, we've played through a Cuphead, A Story About My Uncle, Metal Slug, Trials 2 and Shovel Knight, and yeah, the skill level has been amazing. We had like 3 second perfect finish on Trials 2. Let me get the names, like at 14:58. So yeah, as you said, tournament winning just a couple of weeks ago. Were Super Link God, Ghost Death and Fireman all tied, and yeah, the skill level, well, it's normal because look how much the runners have played. We started back 25 weeks ago announcing Shovel Knight, and we skimmed through the players through the July tournament, August tournament, September tournament, and the last chance tournament that was a week ago. And now we are down to the top 9, the very best player playing through the grand finals. So top 4 will qualify to play live. It's kind of the grand prize for joining in the UD. You are invited to play live in France, but like 2 days is the last time those runners are playing like at home in normal conditions, just running as well as they can. And Melwest, Brother Main, Super Link God, Devoltify, Cute Shadow, Ghost Death, Fireman, Kapupik and Skunkov have done their best so far, and look how close the scores are.
Yeah, even at the top level, we've just 2 points separating Melwest and Brother Main, and then dropping down by 20 or 30 points or so for each place, going down between 2nd, 3rd, 4th. And then once we hit 5th, again, very close between Cute Shadow, Ghost Death, and Fireman. All 3 of these players are just 20 points away from Devil Tifa, who is currently the gatekeeper at that 4th place position. Remember, it is the top 4 that move on to play at the Ultimate Finals, and it is quite a prize. So that is what everyone is gunning for, and you know, it's not like the other 3 are locked in either. There are still 5 games left to play. Some bad things can happen in some of these games, and we could see major leaderboard shift. Again, at this level, that becomes more and more unlikely. So we'll see how Shadow, Ghost Death, and Fireman do. Particularly Fireman was playing very well yesterday, particularly on some of his weakest games. Today is a lineup that is very well suited to him, so despite being a little further behind, I think he's got as good a chance as anyone to take over one of these 3rd or 4th place spots. Mel West has been phenomenal at the October tournament. And again today, you know, Brother Main was looking like he was going to be the Mel West of this tournament, but after a fantastic Shovel Knight performance, Mel West has claimed the top spot, if only by just a little bit, and has really no weaknesses. Fully expect to see Mel West continue to be number 1 or number 2 for these last 5 games.
Brother Main has a slight edge on some of the games we are playing today, Spectrable and The End is Nigh, like mostly, but Eye of Sorrow as well. As you can see on the player card, the numbers are highlighted in gold, meaning they're the best runner in the UD on those games, but depends. Some are on the grind leaderboard, some are on the race, best race times, but it's going to be interesting to see because today's lineup is 5 complete different games, meaning that you might have your strengths left, and we'll see how well that goes. But you can see all those 4 players are just superb at that point in the competition. Super Lingard doing great as well in Spectrable, had the best race known time in the UD last week. The Endless Night is big weakness for today, so is Castlevania Eye of Sorrow. Those two major games are probably going to be a little problem. We'll see. DKC is very good for them. Inertia should be okay, although Inertia has been like known to be bad for everyone in races. We've never seen a sub 8 in a race. We yet had to see a lot of sub 10s. Maybe it's today because, like I said, like everybody had good times yesterday on all the 5 games, so we'll see. Devil Tifa, the gatekeeper, 4th place for now, 22 points ahead of Cute Shadow. Cute Shadow is currently in 5th. And has good times on the Endless Night, Spectrable. DKC, very good race time at 38.39. And Castlevania Eye of Sorrow, very nice 34.48 in the race. And Devil Tifa is a super consistent player, has very close time between like PBs and best race time, so that's his major strengths today.
Yeah, and it's strength that has been put to good use. Devil Tifa has not been participating in many races, that go back to July, I guess, was Devil Tifa's last UD performance in terms of these races that we put on. So it was we were wondering if Devil Tifa was going to be able to play at the level that we expect, and yes, some of that. If it wasn't for Shovel Knight, I think Devil Tifa would not be in 4th. It was really just some things really didn't go their way in Shovel Knight, and that's how they ended up in 4th. And I think we could actually see Devil Tifa, start to challenge and move up a couple places even throughout these last 5 games, just due to strength of consistency, like you said. And maybe they're a little warmed up after yesterday. Those 5 games. Certainly, playing 5 different games doesn't happen playing 5 other games. But in terms of being in that race environment again, getting the heart pumping, and getting used to those nerves and stuff, that can definitely be an asset. So, looking forward to seeing how Devil Tifa does, how everyone does as we get started to kick for day number 2.
Quick question. Personally, would you rather be like first but very close to Mel West like Brother Main is, and having like had a fantastic run yesterday and having to replicate that, or would you rather be like Devil Tifa, which is like conveniently sitting 20 points away from place 3, but also convenient like 20 points away from place 5? What's your like favorite like placement for a relaxed and good tournament, second day of tourney?
I think I would be aiming for top 4, less than top 1. And with 20 points separating me from 3 other players breathing down my neck, I think that would be a little bit. So I would much rather be as far away from them as I could at the top of the leaderboard, but I've never done super well with race pressure, and some people thrive under that, so I see a different answer for some people.
Yeah, especially Devil Tifa does great when they're just under the gun, but not too much pressurized. I do expect them totally to do great today, to be honest. I was a little bit scared yesterday as they did not show a lot of practice since July, but like for today, they should be doing okay, so we'll see. Super Lingard and Brother Main, I'm not sure how they react to pressure, we'll see. Super Lingard probably a big point of concern for today. They have to keep their top 4 placement, and they've been a little bit disappointed with last week's performance, and yesterday has been like a struggle to keep up with those times, so we'll see how well they do, especially in DKC and Eye of Sorrow, where if you are playing too risky, you might be heavily punished for those decisions. So we'll see. I would recommend to go like safe and sound. If you're currently in top 4, you should still be doing fine. Do not aim for too high. And if you see chance to for victory, you do seize it. But it's going to be an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait as we perhaps get started to show off the 6th game of Grand Finals. The first game we're going to be doing today, it is The End Is Nigh precision platformer that's pretty fast-paced, almost no downtime even between levels. It has been generally one of the races where everyone competing is quite close to each other on the leaderboard in terms of personal best, but we do see a bit of a gap between players on this particular game. Some people have managed to push very close to, and indeed into the 200 if your name is Brother Main, whereas some other players are more around this 150, 160 point mark. So we could be seeing the players start to spread apart a little bit on the leaderboard, which has not been the case before. So keep an eye out on how these guys are doing, how their ledge grabbing and canceling and all that kind of stuff. Anything with a ledge is room for little micro improvements in there in this game, and I think you'll start to see a difference as the run progresses with people who are better at those little optimizations than the others.
We have some games that are completely strat-based, like DKC or Area of Sorrow, but the design is all about like tiny movement optimizations. There are no like huge strat that would save you more than 3 seconds. I would say like the biggest time save in a single level between like slow strat and fast strat would be like maybe 3 to 4 seconds. But like tiny movement everywhere, movement optimization will save you like a second here and there, and they are like over 100 screens. So if you start saving like in every single jump a few frames, it will add up quite quickly. So you have to pay close attention to that, but obviously it is actually absurd. Like, you can push that to a level that's incredible, and some runners have been doing that, but that's not what's expected in the UD, because you want to be good at all 10 games in a row. So anything sub 21 is crazy good. We can see the players PB on the screen, Melwest and Brother Main on top of the screen, currently first and second. 2 points from each other, 22 seconds apart PB-wise. Stupid God and Devil Tifa are close together at the 21:30 mark, so we'll see how well that goes for both of them. And like everybody else, we cannot stream everybody on screen, but yeah, there are many other players. Q-Shadow, Ghostdeath, Fireman, and Skunkoff will have less pressure because not shown on screen constantly, and will try to catch up sneakily. And on the end, it's not the easiest feat, but you could gain some time, a few seconds here and there, and gain some points, like close the gap. I do not expect a 20-point swing in the end is nine.
Yeah, I mean, you can do a little bit better than your PB, perhaps, in a race of this, I could see. But no one's going to be like, oh, I hit that one thing and now I can PB by 30 seconds, right? That doesn't happen in this game. What can happen in this game is someone dies a lot and they lose the points, and that's where we see a big shift. So it's really one of those games where you're fighting not to lose time than you are trying to gain it here or there. I mean, certainly little places you can gain it here and there as the players are already off, and using the fast falling and ledge grabbing mechanics to, as much as they can, do the far jump that you can do off of ledges. It does move you a little bit faster. It's actually worth catching lead that you don't need to just to initiate one of those jumps in many situations, and they're already putting it to good use early on in the run. The first section opens quite paradoxically with a level called The End, and from there on we'll be moving to some more difficult platforming sections.
The End is all a show about like moving platform and breakable blocks, crumbling blocks that will kill you or not. Brother Main having a quick reset here. You will see a lot of those. Dying is not too punishing in The End is not. You might end up with a run that has over 20 to 30 deaths and still have a fantastic time. So do not sweat it too much. Knowing when to reset because a strat failed is a very important skill. Brother Main and Melwest very close together. Melwest died here, sadly, lost a little bit of time, but once again, nothing too much. Superlink got close together, and we should see all the players being super close with each other for the first 3 worlds, and then entering the Wall of Sorrow and SS Exodus, you might see a shift in that, because you will not lose too much time here. Like, everybody is doing great. Brotherman showing off fantastic fast falls. Like, in between every single jump, they're just pressing the button for a couple of frames just to accelerate the time they spend in the air, because being in the air in the end is nice, just like losing time. So you really, really want to touch the ground as soon as possible. And then entering the arid flat, same thing as the end, but like few jumps, few cycles to wait, hidden blocks you have to trigger, but so far it's just it's all about like, welcome to the game, here's how the level are going to be laid out.
That's the is it the French version of Welcome to the Jungle? This is how it's laid out. Yeah, I don't know. Well, we got to the arid flats here. The nice little from Brotherman, seeing it now from all the other players. Not so easy to land on that little block with the spikes around, and I think the hardest part of the arid flats is coming up in just a little bit. Except it wasn't that spring. I thought it was not going to be that spring, but for Brotherman, it is now neck and neck with Super Link God and Devil Tifa right behind. It's arid flats 17, I think, is where the secret is. And that is the one that is the hardest screen, I think, for a little bit, as they move on afterwards through the split, which splits the game into 3 areas. The players will be going up to the Wall of Sorrow, but until then, flats. And Brotherman dies waiting for this wall to come down. That is a very bad death to take, especially since it is relatively easy to avoid, on top of how much it costs. So that really sucks. Mel West showing off the secret here, back to this level as this comes down, and it's this screen here that can be the problem on the way up. But the biggest thing is surviving this way down. It is basically just a left input at the right time, but it is a very small window and it's very misleading. So nice job being handled by Super Link God and Devil Tifa. Brotherman not quite just there. We'll see how it goes on the second attempt, and there it is.
Brotherman dying so much scares me a little, because that shows the pressure is getting to them. They were not so confident saying that in chat just at the stream started, and like, the N9 is supposed to be their biggest strength today, and if they do not pull that run off, that could cost them a lot. So I do hope it's not going to affect them too much for today, and just for them to be able to move on as for those couple of mistakes. Entering the overflow, we get to discover the water mechanic. So, Melo was taking a big death on that level. And second one, not surprising, once you start dying in the N9, you might die a couple of times before getting back your rhythm. And we finally get to see the, what is it? Water that kills you, poison water. So if you stay for too long, you blink 3 times, and on the 4th time you will die, and that's going actually pretty quickly. So you should move on. As soon as you touch the surface, you will recover and get the timer reset, but you have to move very, very quickly. Thankfully, when you enter the water, you keep your momentum. So if you do enter the water by ledge jumping, you will actually have a lot of horizontal speed. So that's what the runners are going to try to do all the time.
Mel West holds on to lead by about a screen over all the other players. Devil Tifa was right there with Brotherman and Super Link God, but is dropped back with a very recent death. And overall, it is still quite close. This is what we expected for sure. It's what's to be expected from most races of this game. It is really the later levels where each individual screen starts to become generally a little longer to get through. So for a little more, and of course, just the difficulties to ramp up. But even for this early part in the run, the runners are quite especially close, especially considering we have all 4 on stream, and whenever we peek at the other 4 runners, we generally see that they're also pretty close, and it looks like we have seen the front 4 start to pull away just a little bit, but still quite close between 5, 6, 7, 8. We've reached Wall of Sorrow now. Mel West still in front, and is joined on the screen because it is one of those long waiting screens, and just barely getting the early cycle as moving platforms there.
Yeah, those long screens you really don't want to die in. There are like maybe like 10 screens that are very, very costly if you die in. into them, and some other not that much. But Wall of Sorrow has a couple of those, and Wall of Sorrow has probably the record for most kills in UD runs because of the birds mostly, but also like some very tricky screens that killed multiple times the runners, like in any race. So just being able to move on quickly is pretty good. The cloud platforms, as you can see right now, just like fall when you touch them, so you have to ride them accordingly. And the birds, man, Melwest showing off, like, oh, nice turn back, but dies. Yeah, those strats Melwest are doing, they're incredibly fast, but super risky. Melwest dying twice, get caught up by Brothermain, actually passed by Brothermain now. Brothermain reverting to the default strat, and just like few seconds behind Melwest now.
That's just how it goes, especially with these birds. Pretty curious that Melwest kept resetting in some of the situations. I mean, sometimes you're in a really bad situation. Definitely going for the reset, and the thing you practice that is very fast, certainly a solid choice. But you have a lot of chances to kind of bail out of that strategy, jumping on whatever cloud you reached. So Melwest opting not to do that. It was something that we've seen most other players at least try to do. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I was kind of hoping to see it, if only because I really like seeing the Melwest that is able to adapt and change strats on the fly that we've seen in some of the other games. So still holds on to the lead by just a little bit. Brothermain is right behind him, and some of the other players are quite close as well. Devil Tifa just a screen behind, Superlink got a screen behind him. And we're getting quite close to the end of the Wall of Sorrow. Yeah, there it is. Melwest is going to be the first one to reach the SS Exodus.
The end is nice, probably the hardest level game of the UD were to change strat on the fly. Once you start doing something, you'd rather be consistent at that very one strat rather than just going from multiple different things. I'm not sure. So the SS Exodus is probably one of the hardest world in the game. You have a lot to dodge and a lot of things to go for. Those spike walls are actually like quite difficult to dodge, and some levels like the upcoming one just after that can kill a lot of players as well. Melwest owning that screen dies once, and this is the screen that kills multiple times the player usually. Melwest reverting to a slower strat and doing great. Brothermain on the screen as well, passing it no problem, very close with Melwest. Superlingard entering the SS Exodus just now, very late actually, like 8 levels or 9. The SS Exodus numbers are quite confusing because you are going back and forth a lot, so it can get tricky, but Brothermain and Melwest are halfway through here.
Devil Tifa was actually going for a more advanced strat, using the fast fall on some of the cannonballs to do one of those little skips, and wasn't quite getting it, so he's dropped back to be pretty much tied with Superlink God, almost down to the frame as they drop down through that screen transition. We've kind of got 2 races developing here on the top and bottom. Certainly they are quite close to each other on the top and bottom, but not nearly as close together as they are on the left and right. That is really a treat. Watch Brothermain pulling away from Melwest a little bit through this bottom section, and Superlink God pulling a little bit ahead of Devil Tifa in the bottom race, so it is very close still. Moving on about halfway through the Exodus, still a lot of difficult screens to come, and particularly again once the players reach the machine.
Yeah, the I always forget the name of the world before the machine because it's so quick compared to SS Exodus in the machine, and retrograde, that's it. It goes like super quickly. Mel is dying a couple of times here, has to pull back ahead, and chat is pointing out that since we go with in-game time, the timers are getting desynced a little bit, and the race are actually less close than it appears. Brothermain has a very nice lead, actually, going to the last screens of SS Exodus here. A couple of cannonballs, you have to know exactly when to jump to get the correct bounces. Mel was dying a couple of times, once again, showing a little bit of weakness on SS Exodus, maybe missing a little bit of practice, but is ahead of almost everybody else. Cute Shadow dying a couple of times on that very same screen. Spelungot being a little bit late behind, so is Devil Tifa. Devil Tifa getting killed once again here. Devil Tifa is on the 4th place. They have to keep on going, like they cannot stop for anything, and I do not expect major swings in points on that very specific game, but that could actually happen.
We'll see. We definitely saw some of the other players for a little bit when we checked with how all 8 are doing, and all of them are, you know, right there in the Exodus with Tifa and Super Link. No one other than Mel West has joined Brother Main in retrograde. He is very far ahead, and on one of the toughest screens in the game with these falling blocks, he is using the fast falling beautifully to ascend quickly. Anytime you need to go up in this game is usually a time when you can be using your fast falling to land just a little bit sooner and jump again just a little bit sooner, and you'd be surprised at just how much time there is to save in situations like that. Brother Main handling that screen faster than I think we'll see anyone else do. It was very impressive, actually. Ledge jumping backwards on that screen, probably accidental, or maybe he got hung up and then decided to reset the room. Yeah. Rather than try to go with some pattern that he didn't recognize. So I think that was probably the case, and I think that was probably the right decision.
Yeah, on that very specific screen, you are dealing with like moving platforms and shooting bullets. You will see that on the screen, so you want to go as fast as possible early, though, so the players are actually jumping into the room, and if you ledge grab there, you just want to reset to be sure you actually can pass, because retrograde has a lot of cycles, and just knowing exactly how to pass with like one consistent strat is hard enough. Brother Main is entering the machine, probably the hardest world, I would agree. Yeah, probably. With me, I do agree. And the machine,
with myself.
Yeah, with myself.
Too. So we both agree with each other.
Nice. I had like a conundrum going on. Like, is it like with Golgotha and also all that jazz? But actually, those moving machine gun shooting at you and those gravity wells, whatever they are, having weird physics and interesting tricks with them, it's not easy to navigate. You have a lot of going back and forth. That means actually like losing time if you die even more. You gotta grab some keys and go back and open doors, and it can get actually pretty complicated. And that very specific screen is the example of what the machine is. Just like one key opening a door, you have to go back, and every single step is actually easy, but it's just the pressure that's building that get it to be actually hard. And those little jumps seems like nothing, but since you had built like a 10-second level before that, it's actually way more stressful.
Nice quick cycle from Brother Main in that room, catching one of the ledges that it seems to be impossible to catch, but whenever there is spikes on something on the top and on the side, there is still a corner for you to grab, so leveraging the use of one of those corners there to get up to that block. I guess it's a key, even though it's just a square. Maybe it's a computer chip and we've got computerized doors. Who knows? It's a video game. It's the thing that lets you... and he went straight for it across basically, and that strat is very difficult in that room. Holding on to the building on the lead, Brother Main moving on through the machine. We've got Mal West completing that very long room, also going for that jump off the top, and he doesn't quite get on there, so he is going to have to try that again. He's going to wait, and he remains to a couple screens back behind Brother Main. Tifa also in the machine in one of these really tough rooms. I mean, it's not so tough. It's really just a test of patience that seems to get the better of players. And it is a long room, so it's one of those things where if you die, get shot by one of those guns on the way down, the way that Devil Tifa did not, it can really hurt. And it's the last thing you want going into a screen like that. If you die there and you have to redo it, it opens with waiting again. So you're feeling very impatient after the death, right in before you once again need to have your patience tested. It can be very mean. Good to see all the players are through it, and it's good to see Brother Main doing as well as he is right now.
Yeah, he's not subbing for anything, not dying too much, entering probably just after that one of the hardest rooms in the machine, just knowing exactly when to jump and having the correct jump and the correct timing to land on the door is actually quite tricky. And then you have that machine gun, like it's homing and you have to get between two bullets to be sure to get to the key, and yeah, nicely done. Melwest has a nice strat with a tiny jump when he lands to manipulate like quite smartly actually the machine gun. I like that strat. We'll see if he goes for that. On the bottom part of the screen, Super Lingot and Devil Tifa are super synced up. Like Cute Shadow is along with them, so if Fireman Ghostess is a little bit behind, and Skunkoff is actually having quite a tough time on there, and they're going to fall probably far under the what's needed to keep pace with those runners. We'll see. Skunkoff had a tough day yesterday. Did not finish Shovel Knight on time. Took a few deaths early, and that was too much for them. I totally understand the pain that could cause that game. But Brother Main is now in the Hollows and has a nice commanding lead currently.
Yeah, Melwest is still contending with the worst machine gun in the game. Nice little juke there. Some players throw in that movement, but generally it's further away, so the bullets are a little more spread out and easier to deal with. So that was really nice to see. But yeah, still has a little bit of ways to go before he finishes the machine. Here it is, about to join Brother Main in the Hollows. Like you said, there's jacked up the brightness on their monitors so that can, I mean, monitors. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to see most of what they are able to see right now, which is kind of the gimmick of this whole show. It's very dark and lit up in certain areas, and thankfully we can see a little bit of the stuff that we're probably not supposed to see to get a better idea of how these, I don't know quite what they're supposed to be. They're almost like cutouts, cardboard cutouts of enemies doing their circles, and of course they're always moving on cycles, so even if you couldn't see anything, it would be fairly reasonable, I suspect, for players to get consistent enough to get through counting on them at the same time. But no such memorization is needed with the way the players are able to get at least a little sense of where they are. Brother Main already done with the Hollows. It is one of the easier sections, easier even than the Wall of Sorrow, or perhaps Retrograde, maybe about the same difficulty, but it is still short, and it is over for Brother Main, who is already on Golgotha 8. And remember, look at these timers. We are using in-game time, and the timers have really started to drift apart late in the run, so you can see the Brother Main's timer, you know, the one with the worst computer, I suppose, is the furthest back, so he is actually much further ahead than he appears. By appearing quite far ahead is going to be a fantastic The End Is Nigh for Brother Main.
Yeah, I wonder how close they are to PB, because their PB is 1959. It's a very good time, and it's close. I'm not sure if they don't die in next screen, which is Golgotha 14. We've talked a lot about that screen. It's not the easiest one by far, and wow, crazy strat here, dodging and juking that chain chomp. Nice juke as well on that moving block. Usually some runners will get tripped up and killed just one time trying to trigger the block. This is very close to PB. We have a couple of screens left to do for Brother Main, and then we'll be done. This is a long screen. Oh wow, dying here is actually quite bad for them. On the bottom part of the screen, Super Lingot and Devil Tifa are moving along, but Devil Tifa is falling far behind now, and maybe they have not so practiced on The End Is Nigh, but that could end up costing them quite a lot. I'm not sure where the other are, but on the top of the screen, Brother Main is almost done and almost at PB. This is very close, and this is an incredible run for them.
Yeah, he still has to put the friend together. 1950 is going to be the final time. Remember that PB is a 1959. So this is a new PB. This is a new race best time in the UD. That is an incredible run. And Brother Main is probably going to earn more than 2 points with that run. So we will see Brother Main claim that top spot on the leaderboard. We're going to get Cute Shadow in here, one of the players who is really challenging for the top 4. And with Devil Tifa's run, going pretty good, but room for improvement. And this could be that causes a shift. Can't see what level Cute Shadow is on, unfortunately. So I don't have a number to compare to, but I'm pretty sure he's a little bit ahead here.
Yeah, this is actually just a little bit farther, and he's going to enter like the later part of the level with all the spikes, and yeah, this is Golgotha 12, so right one level behind, ahead of Devil Tifa, with the timer being almost synced up. Super Lingard is maybe ahead of them, having just a little bit of a slower computer, and Fireman is just a little bit behind. But this is a close finish for all those runners, but Mel West and Brother Main being done are going to rack up a lot of points, but Brother Main with a fantastic PB live on that very specific game is actually going to do great. He was just a little bit slow at the start. He could have saved maybe 12 to 20 seconds more than that. I'm amazed with that run. That second half was just flawless.
Yeah, except for maybe this level that Cute Shadow is on. We did see a death in kind of a weird place there, but yeah, I remember, I think the first thing we said about Brother Main's run was that we're a little concerned for him. It's not looking so good, and then maybe he heard us and wanted to prove us wrong, because he certainly did. Cute Shadow is going to be the next finisher on stream to pick up that final piece. Menuing and navigating over to the friend to put it together. 22:44 going to be the final time. Devil Tifa probably going to be the next one across the window. No, wait, Super Lingard is there already. Yeah, a little bit ahead of Devil Tifa.
25. Nice time by Super Lingard. Fireman is going to be right there with them. Devil Tifa is going to finish just before that. We still have some runners to be done, but this is going pretty fast for everybody. Ghost Death not quite done actually. Had the final half of Golgotha. Still has Golgotha 14 to go through, and Skunkov is very far behind now, in the middle of the hollows at 23 minutes. This is not what they needed on that very specific game, but this is a tough one, to be honest, and we are starting with that one. And Skunkov 3B is on the end is nice, 24-34. It's probably their biggest weakness on the tourney, so as long as they're not too far behind PB, it should be okay for them. So Ghost is almost done. Quick ran today, the first 5 games. I streamed and commentated their run. They've had a PB on Shovel Knight, and they're a little bit behind on the Andes Night. Their PB is 24-17. No, actually it's PB pace. My bad, I thought they were at a 23, but nope, PB for Quick, very nice.
I think this is coming off of also a small PB in Shovel Knight, as Quick's fifth game just a little bit ago. So that's pretty crazy. He's done some. I suppose we'll see if he's able to ride this of the 8th place position. Skunkov with the finish on Shovel Knight is definitely out of the running here, but that doesn't mean he didn't practice for today. That didn't mean he didn't put in all that time for nothing. So he is going to show us how well he can do, how well he can recover from this situation. Done now. Hollows heading into Golgotha. We've still got lots of time. The players are just, these were all very strong runs. The cutoff is 40 minutes actually. So we are still going to see a good finish here from Skunkov, dying once to the chain chomps and again into the lava, showing just a lot of little things that the other players made seem so easy really aren't.
Every single jump can kill you in the Andes Night. It's a very precise platformer. It's not that hard, I feel, but it's just like you have to get a good grasp on the mechanics and the jumps, and the fast fall is just gravy at that point. If you just want to beat the game, you do not necessarily need it everywhere, but you can do so much stuff with that game. It's pretty cool. It's very similar to Meat Boy in that sense. You have also a lot of strats and different cycle to go through and different kind of jumps. Skunkov has a little bit left to do, about 2 to 3 minutes, depending on how fast they go and how well the second half of Golgotha goes, obviously. But they're doing great. A little bit behind PB, sadly. Probably not what they needed, as they are currently in 9th place, but they're just going to do their best. And that screen can be tricky. If you want to go as fast as possible and grab that ledge here, you want to go as fast as possible so the cycles align and you get the jump when the hook is as low as possible. Careful with those enemies. I usually say how harmless those enemies are, but if you are in the incorrect spot, they will still trip you up, so you have to be careful with those. And yeah, clearly Skunkov knows well how the game is going, but there's a little bit of inconsistency that just is killing them from time to time, execution-wise. And coming up, Golgotha 14, we'll see how well that goes, but it's always a scary moment.
Immediately getting chomped, just jumping a little bit too. You might think when you watch the other players through the screen, it wasn't. Oh, he had it, but he fast fell too soon.
No.
But again, he's just tapping that button. That is a shame that he got past the hard part. It's really getting off of this ledge, getting to that ledge, with the spikes on the cycle that they're on, and then getting off of it is really the hard part. He was home free twice, actually, on one of the hardest screens, and wasn't quite able to bring it home, baiting out that block up high and then getting a bit of a ride on the way back. These blocks they move fast, man. They can be really hard to deal with sometimes, especially this room where you need to the same block up, down, around, all the way around the level multiple ways before you can finally progress. And now we're finally done with those blocks. That means we're almost done with Golgotha, just a little bit left to go. Chain Chomp's just punishing you if you overshoot on your left-right inputs just a little bit. Lava does need to give it a little bit to regress so that you may progress. He is now finished with Golgotha. He has got the final piece of his friend navigating back home. Can he get under the 28-minute mark? Oh, he didn't do the quick build for... Okay, well, 0.11. We'll call that a 28 for sure.
It's a late split.
That's right.
It's actually an auto splitter, so it should be exact. But good run by everybody. Maybe Skunkov is going to be a little bit disappointed, but still over 120 points should be all right. The lead Brotherman had on that run will certainly increase the gap. It was only 2 points between Melwest and Brotherman before the end of this night, and that's going to be heavily more than that, I would say. The swing is way bigger than I expected.
I think we said multiple times we wouldn't see a 20-point swing, but that's basically what we got with their mains. 1950 PB, one of the best times in the UD period for this game, let alone as a race time. A truly outstanding performance. Sits in first by 14 points now. Melwest still very comfortably 40 points ahead of Super Link God, who is now 35 points ahead of Devil Tifa, and still 20 points separating Devil Tifa from some of these players who are looking to crack into the top 4. Cute Shadow with 1073, and then a bit of a gap opened up between Cute Shadow and Fireman and Ghost Death. So Cute Shadow doing a good job of keeping pace, indeed even gaining a little bit of... Well, not quite, but... Oh, yeah, he did. 15 seconds over Devil Tifa, so clawing back just a little bit more. Just needs more games like that. You don't need to gain all of your 20 points in one game. You can just do a little bit better than your opponents across each game and start to chip away at that point total. It's not over yet.
Yeah, Skunkov actually had a 28 on the dot. Yeah, here we go. It's got refreshed. I do not know what happened with that 4 hours time. And it's okay, Littleboard is up and updated right now. Up next is Inertia. I do not know how well the balance for that game is going to be. Like, between like Brother Main, Melwa, Super Lingard, and Devil Tifa. I do not know how well that's going to go. And do remember, Inertia is one of those games, if you're not like de-rested properly, you might go from like a PB at 7:30 to a race time over 12 minutes. Like, it has happened. So I'm not sure. We'll see how well that goes for everybody. And then DKC, Spectrable, and Eye of Sorrow are strengths for different various runners, and I do expect some players to close the gap with fourth place. So let's see. That first up is that crazy, fast-moving first-person platformer inspired by the case mods on Counter-Strike and the Source engine, like multiple 20 years ago almost now. And the bunny hop is not as unforgiving as the origins of that kind of games, but it's still like very tough, very precise, moving super quickly, and with a fantastic sense of anticipation. You can see just jump if it's a little barely too far away or too short, and sometimes you can just, you know that it's not going to make it. 32 levels, the world record is at about 7 minutes. I do not remember the exact number, and it's a good one.
Got me curious about
the
world record. 6:43 actually.
Wow. Okay.
By Kaze, assuming we'll have the record holder on the UD leaderboards the way that I think we do. We did see some really strong inertia runners come out for the last chance tournament. Weren't competing in all 10 games, just picked and choose the ones that wanted to play along with all the other competitors, and kind of kicked their butts at those 2 games that they specialized in. We unfortunately didn't have it on stream, but I would have liked to have seen that inertia run, because I always like seeing anyone's inertia run, but especially when it goes well. In terms of PBs, things are actually fairly close across the board for inertia. There's like a 37-point spread between first and last here, and that's not nothing, but it's generally closer than some of the other games we had. And we can take a look at the PBs of our top 4, all of them within a minute of each other, which is with a short game like this. A minute's a little longer than it might be for some other games, but it is still going to be pretty close. And also, this is a game where your PB doesn't count for so much. It's really more about your ability to consistently get whatever time that you're able to. So, of these players, I feel like Mel West has got a good chance of putting up a really good time. But it's really to say, like you said, this has been a very, very difficult game to race. Mel West actually dying on level 1, slipping between some platforms. Super Link God as well. Devil Tifa, I'm sure, is not on level 20. That is just some technical mishap that will get sorted out, I'm sure. Brother Main currently in the lead on level 3, and is going to have to reset, loses the lead to Super Link God. That's just the way this goes sometimes. These platforms are much smaller than they appear. The players are moving incredibly fast, much faster than you have any real control over in the air. So once you get into the air and you've used that double jump, you get into wherever you're going to go, and you better hope it goes to one of the platforms you're aiming for.
I cannot help but laugh with that movement technique. Just like shaking the camera actually tricks the game into thinking you are actually strafing and gives you extra speed. You can see the speed on the top of the screen, like it's the unit per second, and usually it will go up to 1680 unit per second, but if you're shaking the camera while jumping, you might get up to like 1700 or 1800 in some cases, and that actually quite helps for some tricks. So it's just like the less easy to stream game, and it's pretty crazy, but MLS is moving super quickly and actually having flawless execution. The in-game time on the top of the screen actually reset when MLS died on level 1, so you have to add 7 seconds to that time. So I'll be sure the time input is correct. It's pretty easy to forget about those. And except for that, just MLS is fantastic at inertia. It's he's been like practicing quite a lot and knows exactly what they're doing.
just a little bit behind Super Lingard, pretty much on the jumps here. Doing these wall runs are particularly tricky in this game. Melwest taking a moment to end himself up correctly with a gap in the wall. Does that just a little bit faster than Super Lingard, who actually dies at the start of 12. So they are just a little bit spread apart. Obviously still quite close, but not in the perfect sync we had before. Unfortunately, I know it is fun to watch, but these guys are trying to go as fast as they can, still in level 13 with each other. Landing on a sort of bar of light is it's not quite it's lined up exactly with the corridor that you're running down, but it is actually still quite small and not trivial to land on. But Melwest gets it. Not going for the wall because you don't need it. These guys are doing the slide jumps. That 1680 units per second that you get up to is made possible by jumping out of a slide, and even though you don't really see the slide, it's because they've bound slide and jump together. And nice wall runs from Melwest. Very tricky sequence. Anytime there's a wall run into a wall run, that is particularly hard. But the curved wall run surfaces as well, those don't hold up so well. One quick death there. Still, Melwest is looking very strong.
Yeah, it's so easy to get tripped up by those triple jump out of wall runs, and like a lot of times you will just get the tiny least amount of speed that you actually need. But Melwest moves so quickly in that game. I love watching that good players on inertia. I feel like it's a very strong speed run. Just for viewers, it just has that sense of flow I like a lot. Sadly, you have to wait on those elevators from time to time, but that's beyond the point. Except for Melwest, everybody seems to try to move as fast as they can, but cannot catch them. They're just a little bit behind, about 1 or 2 levels. Actually, Super Lingard passed them, just as Melwest died a couple of times on 17, and he's currently on 19. So yeah, very close between those two, but actually Super Lingard has 1 level advantage currently.
I know when we've got the big focus on the one player, it's very easy to lose focus on the other 3, but Super Lingard quietly has been right there with Melwest this whole time, actually trading places a couple times, and the other player also not too far away either. Brothermain on level 18, Devil Tifa struggling just a little on level 15, not sure where the others are at. It's very hard to check in with the other players and get a sense of how this race is going, just because it moves so fast. It is constantly flying at this ridiculous speed, but we do still have Super Lingard in front by just a little bit. Melwest just behind, reaching level 23, the big open blue sky level. There's basically only 2 of these, but not quite getting enough speed and on the ledge, but it's a pretty minor thing. So what is major is if he does not die at the end of that level, barely accelerating into that cliff, just kind of popping up there, and is moving on to the back half of the game. I don't know, these dark levels that you enter after 24, I group together in my mind with like 28 and 29 for some reason, even though they're separated by some of these more open areas in 26, 27.
Quick,
as we get back in.
Yeah, quick reset, my bad. And Devil Tifa is struggling a little bit, falling behind like more and more since level 15. Like, we are entering the levels where you need to be very practiced to keep on having good speed. They don't die as much as I expected for an unpracticed runner, but they're just like falling behind, trying to set up every single jump and just like having difficulties with like the overall level and keeping speed, while Brothermain, Super Lingard and Melwest just show no mercy currently. Oh, Brothermain dying quickly here, waiting on that platform to elevate a little bit, and yeah, more and more runners are doing the shake camera strat to gain some speed on some parts. It's still very unwatchable, but actually helps a lot. Very close between Melwest and Super Lingard, but Super Lingard had like less impressive strats but more consistent overall, and actually is way ahead now. Level 29, entering the final few jumps. 29 is probably the hardest level of the run, and just had no problem with it.
Melwest dies right at the end of level 28. He got weirdly held up by something, jumped directly in the middle of a pit that was pretty unfortunate for them. They were starting to maybe catch up to Super Link God late into the run, but with that death, it is going to be pretty much impossible now. Super Link God is done with 30, only has 2 more levels to go. Melwa that very difficult 29, and is kind of through the hard part. It still needs to get the ending. He approaches this a little differently with a very fast jump off the wall rather than going for that little platform. So nice finish on 29. I don't see anyone really approaching 29 the way that Melwest does. Just very familiar with the camera wiggle strats for the extra speed. It's something that players are starting to throw in, but they're not quite leveraging, I think, the way Melwest is. Super Link God almost done here. Did manage to navigate the outwards curved wall run section, and has finished with a 747.
This is incredible. Like 453 seconds in game. You have to do like the math for the actual like minute plus second time, but this is probably by far actually the best race time we've ever seen. Like they just kept on going since level 15 and never let anyone a chance to just catch up. It's amazing. We can see on screen like Mel was just passing the 8-minute mark and will end up with a finish time of 8:20. This is a very good run for everybody, and especially Super Link God. They needed that to get back close to first place actually.
I didn't think we would see a big swing here, assuming things went well for everyone. You know, if someone had like technical difficulties or something, sure. But this is just through sheer execution, picking up that much time in inertia, hugely impressive for Super Link God. We're going to go ahead and switch in some of our other players with their at. Ghost Death is on level 3, actually ahead of Brother Main. And right there with Devil Tifa, you can see the exit is in sight, and Ghost Death is taking a lot of care to land properly on these platforms. Learning how to jump from one platform to another, which sounds to say it, but I promise you it is actually very hard and does require learning specifically, timing for your double jump on each jump. The second part is learning how to chain all those jumps together smoothly, and that's when you ascend to like another level when it comes to speedrunning inertia. But I could also see, if you're familiar with how to do that in a race, when you're at the end of a level late into a run, you might want to just hold up here and there and make sure that you are landing on these platforms and not falling to death. Ghost Death was right there at the final zip line, and is back at the start of 32 now, so that's a little bit unfortunate.
Okay,
Brother Main on 31.
Yeah, Brother Main had a fantastic D&D9, and they're going to be like last actually, apparently, with Devil Tifa entering 32, both right now at the final level, and the time goes quickly on inertia, and Brother Main first by far on D&D9 and last maybe on inertia. This is very surprising. And
as he comes across the final zip line, it's done. I'm not sure what the leaderboard is going to have to say about this inertia run. It certainly will say Super Link got up a lot of points. That was a beautiful run to watch, and it gave us also a pretty good race between him and Melwest through the first half or so of the game, actually trading places a couple times here and there. But wow, what a finish. The second half of that run was just totally on point for Super Link God. Devil Tifa had a solid run, but again, not the kind of run that will shut the door on anyone looking to break into the top 4. So we can take a look and see that actually, no, we've got doesn't seem right. Are these times correct? Is Brother Main in 8th?
Yep.
No, his time in the end is 9 got glitched again.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, okay. I was like, I just checked inertia and was like, yep, that's correct. And then, no, okay. They had like a significant lead. They should be back to okay tier. I will ask.
Just a sec, yeah.
Man's Sorry about that. It got. I don't know what happened with the Andes now, but it's okay. Brother Main should
Something about that
come
one.
back up to top, at least top 2. Here we go. Nope, not even top 2 actually. Just the 1950 was not enough, and they fell like significantly because I don't know, like Superlink got 219 on inertia. That's unprecedented. That's incredible, and that was enough because that's 61 points faster than Brother Main, and yep. I did not expect that. I was like, okay, yeah, Brother Main just won with the Andes 9, and apparently you have to be good and consistent at all 10 games. Big surprise, huh?
And when you say it out, 61 points over someone who I considered to be an equal competitor in inertia, that is a huge feat for Super Link God. I'm also got my eyes glued to 4th and 5th place, Devil Tifa and Cute Shadow. We didn't see too much of Cute Shadow on stream, mostly because we had Devil's Tifa on there, and Cute Shadow finished before Devil Tifa done, before we had a chance to show them on stream, and they are now just 5 points away from getting into that top 4, ousting Devil Tifa, and maybe being one of the 4 to play live in France at the end of October. This is really heating up here.
This is scary. For the duel, Devil Tifa versus Cute Shadow is going to heat up significantly. Like, this is 5 points on 3 games, especially those games is nothing. Brother Main wants their top place back, I know that, and it's like 30 points they have to walk on now. Fireman and Ghost Death are a little bit far behind. They need to get consistently good times, but Ghost Death had fantastic DKC, Spectrable, and Eye of Sorrows this week, so they practiced on that. But like, even 8th place would not be a bad finish for anyone, because like Quick is at 1200 on 7 games. That's actually very, very good, and this is the best runs we've ever seen on all those 10 games. Metal West is back at the top, but yeah, that inertia run is way more surprising than I would have expected.
Just looking at the times and seeing the 3-minute difference between 2nd and 3rd Super. This is definitely a case of both players contributing to this this big difference. Super Link God on really the best run we've seen, and I mean particularly not doing as well as we would have expected. So it is still a remarkable that they've managed to put on the board. We are getting ready for the next game. This is going to be tough country. There are some players who are outside of the top 4 who are pretty strong at DKC, so this could be their opportunity to make up some ground. It is a long run. There's a lot of ways that you can die and lose a lot of time or get stuck in weird situations without Diddy. There's a lot of glitches that need to be... there's glitches, I guess, when you do those super jumps that do require some execution. If you don't get it because you lose a Kong, you need to go back to another stage and get one, that kind of thing. So it is an opportunity for more shakeups on the leaderboard.
Yeah, it is going to be tough for both Cute Shadow and Fireman, as they don't have such a good DKC. My mark here is sub 40. Do you or do you not go for sub 40 on DKC? And if you don't, I feel like you will be at a disadvantage. Devil Tifa has a very good sub 38 PB, and that could like prove to be very important for them to keep top 4. Super Link God got 2nd place, and they have the same, almost the same exact like PB and best race time as Devil Tifa, with a 37.53 and 38.53 for Super Link God on DKC. Metal West maybe is out of reach now. I don't know, with 21 points ahead of 2nd place. With that inertia and how much Brother Main fell behind, they could like just keep on going. The momentum could be enough. With a best race time of 38.26, that was last week probably, and with a PB of 35.56, Metal West seems to be pretty good to keep 1st place after that one race at least.
You could probably just stop this and say Mel West seems to be pretty good, and it will be quite true.
Yeah.
His his consistency across every game, as well as just the high level of execution and in grind and stuff, has been a pleasure to watch. And we've seen, Brother Main started out at the top of the leaderboard, and now Super Link God is starting to emerge as a really strong player, but has been doing consistently well, is Mel West. So he's going to remain at the top, the red on the top left of your screen. As we get for Donkey Kong Country, it's going to get started with, right away. Like the levels are definitely, you're not going to die and lose a lot of time in a lot of these early levels, but right away there are opportunities to be saving a lot of time with some of these extendo rolls that you can do off of these crocodiles. We'll see if the players are going to be going for it. It looks like Brother Main is, at least. And this is something that some players have opted not to even learn, even though it's like the very first level, it's the very first thing some players have opted to. Is a little more simple, because this rolling, ending of the rolls is it's pretty tricky in repressing the buttons at the right time. It's very rarely do you get an opportunity to really use a good visual cue for it. There's a lot of playing by feel and muscle memory. It takes a long time to develop, so we've seen players basically adopt a much more safe and consistent approach to KC as a whole.
Melos, Cute Shadow, Brother Main, and Devil Tifa. Devil Tifa started very late, I'm not sure why. I hope it's just like stream delay. Between like switching all the games and stuff, like OBS can be quite messed up after like 5 games, so we'll see. Something I like, and I'm pointing out like consistently in DKC and in all the games, that everybody switched to like easier and more consistent strats. So everybody, for example, is keeping both Diddy and Donkey at the first level. You just want that extra safety. That costs you just the time to swap out characters. So it's a bit longer. It's maybe like 2 seconds longer than just losing DK intentionally, but it's just more safety, and that Mel West proved like to be needing that. Actually, just losing DD right now picks up the checkpoint just to be sure, and will play with as Donkey, and you don't want that to last for too long. So as soon as possible, he catches DK barrel and moves on with DD. So nothing surprising there, but that allows Brother Main to catch up, and Cute Shadow is actually currently in first place, entering the crawl. Creeks, the first level, the water level, it's not too bad. You just want to get on guard as fast as possible and move on, bucking through everything pretty much.
Bit of a shaky start for a lot of players. Very quick, but death all the same for both and Devil Tifa in with the early levels. Just winding up in pits where you really don't want to. Generally in most games, don't want to be in a pit, and DKC, no exception. But they're both players are moving along now. I'm pretty sure Devil Tifa is in this water level along with these players once you factor in stream delay, but unfortunately we're probably not going to be able to get that sorted out on stream, but the leaderboard will tell the tale when all is done. These water levels are very hard to optimize when you are pushing for every little second, every little frame that you can get in this game. It's less of a concern when DKC is part of 10 or 9 other games rather that you need to learn. The main ditching on guard at the end there with the damage, but it is you're mostly focused on not getting hung up, not losing on guard, of course, rather than going for little corner boosts here and there and preserving your speed as you round corners. Certainly, there's room to do some of that, but the big concern, holding on to on guard, so we'll see if Devil Tifa is able to do that.
Both Mel West and Cute Shadow got pretty quickly the skip here, so you want to jump on that Kremlin and be sure to land to catch the barrel, and Brother Main just did that. We'll see how well that goes for Devil Tifa just in a moment, but all 3 runners here, Mel West, Cute Shadow, and Brother Main are actually doing okay. Just the time to maybe adjust to DKC, and here we go. Naughty is already dead. First wall done for both Cute Shadow, Melos, Fireman in the boss fight currently. Ghost Death almost, and they're quick starting the boss fight right now. And Super Lingard apparently just streams either image or sound, but never both all together. I'm not sure what's going on. So That's too bad. But at least we have a lot of players to choose from, so it's okay. Stream has to move on. Double Tifa right now picks up the barrel, and this is an important moment for them. They want to get either the extender worlds or just play carefully. They will play carefully and get the skip immediately. Very nice.
We're into World 2 that most of it came to West and Cute Shadow, showing us a cute little one of many in the Donkey Kong Country games. Later, not too long, we will show off another secret that is definitely not intended. There is a barrel that will warp you to the end of the stage, and it is in a place that isn't really reachable through normal means. So we will be executing a glitch to get up there, and it's something you'll see a number of times throughout the run, but we're about one stage away from getting there right now. We're in it's a little bit dark inside this cave, but it's not quite as dark as it will get in some of the other Bouncy Bonanza. Are really not too bad. There's a lot of these crawl spaces you can do side your full speed rather than it's really not too hard to do, and you can sort of buffer by kind of rolling into the gap and then jumping. You will get hung up a little bit while you're rolling, but it does make sure that you get in there pretty consistently. If you're really good, you can skip some of the bees, the cycles that the bees are doing in their movements, but it is very risky, very easy to get hit, so I haven't seen any players opt to go for that sort of optimization in these levels. Another skipped level in Stop and Go Station, handled by both players and pretty much everyone without any problems. And moving on to, what is it actually? Millstone Mayhem is where we're going to see this skip.
Yeah, I love the secret. Just go left and you will be almost right at the end. It's pretty cool. In Milestone Mayhem, we see the setup for the first infinite jump. So everybody lost DK intentionally on a very specific spot, and then lost DD and immediately jump on the Kremlin, and that sent them flying up, being able to catch a barrel, a hidden one that's unreachable. To my knowledge, except doing that glitch, and you'll be able to clear the level pretty quickly. Brother Main is done as well, but Melwest and Cute Shadow, look at that race, this is incredible. I do expect Melwest to pull ahead a little bit later in the run when it starts to get a little bit trickier, but Cute Shadow holds up pretty nicely there.
Yeah, Cute Shadow, I don't know if they sense blood in the water or something, but 5 points away from Double Tifa, and currently basically in the lead. Yeah, in the lead by just a half a second or something. Is really coming out strong. Is looking to not, let these the top four that were the favorites run away with it. So I'm really liking seeing from Cute Shadow. They've always been an extremely consistent performer across 10 games, which has always been their strength and is what served them well in the tournament. Waiting a little bit in the barrels there at the end of Vulture Culture.
Devil Tifa missed the intentional hit on DK and actually had to reset, and are going to go back again for setting up the infinite jump, but they look stunned right now. They don't know exactly how to react, and I'm not sure. They have to here we go. Set everything up correctly, get rid of the barrels, go back DK, while Melwest is setting up another infinite jump, losing a DD and immediately getting it back, and then losing DK and landing on ground, and then having the Kremlin bounce back into their feet, sending up them flying, while also being able not to catch the rope. If you do that incorrectly, you might get the glitch, but immediately catch the rope, cancelling everything you've done and you've walked on. So you want to do exactly the trick as it's needed to be done, and it's not easy. Like every single of those skip, they may seem a little bit cheesy because you do not actually beat the level like as intended, but it saves time, so it's pretty cool in a speedrun, and you have to know exactly what you're doing.
Devil Tifa actually was right there with the glitch and didn't get far enough away to respawn one of the enemies. So was jumping on an enemy that wasn't there and decided to play out the level. So we're seeing the rest of Millstone Mayhem being done, and this is a lot of loss for Devil Tifa. Remember, just 5 separating Devil Tifa from Cute Shadow, and separating him from getting into the top 4. This is an important game. Every game is going to be important from here on for both players, and indeed for all the players, but particularly Devil Tifa, so not the start he wanted. It's finally done now. Moving on to the boss fight as Mel West is showing off one of the video game's best birds. We can discuss that at another time, certainly in the chat for free. But Espresso is a top-tier video game bird, runs very quickly, flies. The only downside is that the camera is just kind of zoomed in this, so you don't get to see a lot of what you should be jumping to until well after you should have already been jumping. So it is very memorization based for the players. They have put in the effort and time to learn how to properly guide the bird where it needs to go, and it is a huge help in this level and a couple others, particularly one in World 4 that we'll see in a little bit, but not before Mel West shows us an interesting glitch.
Yeah, this is a pretty cool one. If you are a single sprite and moving into a corner and pressing frame perfect one of the face button, you will be set up in the middle of Ultime Gang. And this is the all stage category, meaning you have to beat all stage, but no one specified where you have to enter. So everybody does that. It saves quite a lot of heartache, and that sends the runners immediately at the end of Ultime Gang and into the second water level here. Engard is back, hey, and water levels are fine as long as you don't try to optimize them perfectly, because then it's hell on earth, and they're okay. It's a cool, relaxing time for runners that just are trying to beat 10 games in a row, although you still have to pay close attention not to take a hit, because going back and trying to catch Engard back and just moving along with the fish as it tries to escape usually can be a tricky time. So you just want to be sure what you're doing, and yeah, losing Engard right at the end doesn't change anything, and Glam City is done. Bumblebee Rumble, this is the B boss fight. We don't have a refight against that boss, so it's the only time we're going to see that. It comes back in DKC 2, I think, but that's going to be for another UD.
Spoilers.
Spoilers, DKC 2 coming up next.
Mel West is about done with this fight. I think it's the left barrel. One of these barrels will avoid 1 extra frame of lag when you pick it up. So if you really, really care and it makes no difference to you, then you will go for the appropriate barrel. But I think the UD players are going to be more worried about grabbing whatever's closest to whatever they need at the moment. Cute Shadow now joining Mel West, at least just for a little bit in the boss fight before Mel West is done and moving on. We got Devil Tifa riding Espresso, Fireman, Ghost Death, Quick, all riding on guard in Clam City. And Mel West is the first one to move on to when I think the difficulty starts to ramp up in World 4. I don't know the name of the worlds, actually, but the name of the level we're in is Snow Barrel Blast, and we might see some cool stuff going on with a metal barrel and jumping
right
on
now.
slopes.
Nice.
Here you get the increased speed, and he is going to be able to show us this really cool-looking triple bounce.
Yeah, this is actually super nice. If you jump in the slope with the metal barrel, you will get a nice forward momentum, and you can put that to good use. I actually have to check now what are the world names for in DKC, because I have like a attention span of about like 5 seconds. So, but Mel West, that's on the second half of the game. That's where their advantage should show. Like their PB is about 3 to 4 minutes faster than Cute Shadow's. And so far, Cute Shadow actually stayed very close to Mel West, and they're pulling ahead of Devil Tifa by quite a margin, and that could show how, like, that could swing up and put Cute Shadow back in 4th or even 3rd place, depending on how Brothermain and Superling God are doing. Superling God is a big unknown. It's not for suspense. They're not just currently streaming the game, but we know they're running because we have their game audio, but, you know, that's another story by itself. And World 4 has some interesting tricks. We'll see Espresso soon, and that ice cavern with the slippery ropes is done already for Melwest.
Got the barrel now for Brother who is also going to get the triple bounce here. We didn't see a lot of that in past races, in the past few weeks or so. Been a disappointing lack of bird bouncing going on in Snow Barrel Blast, but we are going to see it, and we're going to see the return of Espresso in Ice Age Alley. This is a very hard level to do without Espresso. There's a lot of jumping, a lot of sloped surfaces, jumping off of one sloped surface, another sloped surface, and mostly just the enemies. The claptraps and the orangs are absolutely hellish in this level. Very hard with, and Espresso is perfect. We'll actually run over several claptraps, and despite getting orangutan, Melwest holds on to the bird all the way to the. That level has a very different dynamic if you don't have Espresso. Some players will opt to not even try to finish out the level if you lose Espresso midway. They might go all the way back to the bird. By dying, of course, and grabbing the bird again. So it's going to be Melwest, the first one to reach Croctopus Chase, and probably everyone else will join Melwest in this level before he's done because it is so long. There is no on guard, and it does have this the slow pace that the water levels tend to have. It's filled with its fair share of optimizations, the way that every water level is. It's not quite as high stakes as Ice Age Alley is for the other three players right now.
Yeah, the third level here in Gorilla Glacier. I know the world name now. It's certainly probably like the hardest level in that world, and killed a lot of players just because of the orangutan right at the end of the level. It's pretty easy to get those right in your face at the end of a jump and just barely make it or die immediately after, like falling into a pit. So you want to know exactly how to those enemy behave. You want to know exactly how to recover from any like mistakes, but also you want to know how to move on quickly. Everybody should like stack up in Croctopus Chase, as you said. It's a very long level, so we'll see a lot of those. Devil Diva is quite far behind, still in Sleep Slide Ride, is it? And should try to catch the barrel here with a nice left-right on the rope and catch up with Didi. It's easier with Donkey, as Donkey in the box is slightly bigger. You can reach that barrel with a single jump, but switching back and forth between Didi and Donkey actually costs time, way more than you think, just seeing the animation, so you want to minimize those. And Devil Defy is going to enter Ice Age Alley right now, and Melwest should be done with Croctopus Chase shortly.
Just a testament to the length of this level that Devil Tifa has almost joined the same level as Melwest is on, but with that arrow sign. Pretty sure we're just about done with the level, taking care to avoid the last room with the last enemies, and finally going to be moving on. We're almost done with the world. We're into Torchlight Trouble, and there's not going to be too much Torchlight going on.
But much trouble.
Yeah. He's just taking a moment there to collect himself. The thing that lights up the level, I think it's Squawks. That's what it is in the other games, the little parrot. But he's a bigger parrot in the other games, so maybe it's like Squix or something. But, it is a parrot with a flashlight that will light the way. Unfortunately, it lags the game quite a bit, and it's really not something we're interested in if we can help it. So it also will blind you if you turn around. It has this animation where it flashes right at the screen, which is cool that it's there, but it genuinely can hurt sometimes when you're trying to navigate a level. So using just little visual cues here and there that pick out from the background, they're able to navigate in the dark, and Melwest holds the lead by a fair margin, still heading into Rope Bridge Rumble, which is filled with these tires. You can roll off of a tire with just a well-timed input, but it is pretty hard, and it opens the door for some strats that maybe Melwest will go for.
Yeah, so far it's going quite nicely actually for them, but bouncing on those tires is way safer. Last week they had like some weird troubles on that very specific tire, like despawning it and then respawning it. I don't remember exactly what the deal was. And during, well, that Melwest is already done. Q-Shadow and Brotherman in Torchlight trouble. Do note that it's the only level, I think, where Squawks appears, and we totally ignore it. So that's it. No Squawks in that speedrun for them. They passed the opportunity. Melwest is going to be done with the world. The refight against Nutty goes actually quite quickly. It's the boss fights, it's the total opposite of Eye of Sorrow or Shovel Knight, where the boss fights matters almost the most. Here it's like, just wait for them to die almost and move on. Old Drum Alley starts right now for Melwest, while Brothermain Q-Shadow should be done almost with the world as well. Just one entire level separates them from Melwest, and they're very close together, so I wonder how the leaderboard will shake up after DKC, because this is proving to be an interesting race. Double Tifa has to pick up the pace if they want to keep their fourth place, sadly.
Melwest is our focus right now on the big screen on the left side. It is going on. It is actually a very difficult level that would be very interesting to watch if Melwest was not super jumping over the whole thing. The last time we saw this trick back in Forest Frenzy it was actually faster than waiting for the ropes to move on their cycles. In this case, the super jump is a little slower. You're not able to, roll through enemies and pick up speed. And so you might wonder why, if it's slower. Are we doing it? And it's just because it's so much safer to soar over the level than through it. And in some cases, you really mean over the super jump, you need to be doing some difficult rolling through enemy and stuff like that. So in some of the more difficult levels, if a super jump is available, the players are going to take it. If you see Melwest taking it, good chance that everyone else is going to as well. Melwest does love to learning the really tricky stuff, going for it in races, and even he is going to be super jumping over most of these difficult levels.
The only difference would be elevator antics, and he might go for the super jump here with the infinite jump glitch, as some other don't. But apparently they chose to go for the regular strat here, so they changed it since last week, and maybe feeling a little bit more confident today, maybe considering how far ahead they are right now. They want just to go for a PB on DKC, or they feel very well on that very specific game. But yeah, no infinite jump for them right now. And this is a tricky one, and it's pretty cool one to have an infinite jump over, because all those elevator and cycles can trip you up immediately. Like we've seen some runners just jump for an elevator that wasn't quite there, so it has happened, and just going for the level is quite cool. Brothermain and Q-Shadow showing different strat. I think Brothermain is not going for the infinite jump here, as Q-Shadow just did, and Q-Shadow is going to start Track a little bit before Brothermain. Track is just a 10-second long level, so should not be a problem for them, I hope. While Melma starts Poison Pond. This is the most tricky water level, but also the last one, so hooray for the last time we see Angard on Melwest screen. And it's once again, the water levels are not the most tricky ones, especially considering the later level in DKC that are actually quite difficult, but still, we've seen a lot of mistakes here. We've seen some runners actually lose Angard and lose a ton of time because you are so much slower without your swordfish companion, so you want to be sure that you are bucking through the mincers correctly and knowing exactly what you're doing if you were to lose Angard.
Brothermain picked up some time over Q-Chat with the super jumpless Oil Drum Alley, was able to execute on it very well. Double Tifa has opted for the super jump. This level remains a fair bit behind Q-Shadow and in Brothermain, and is not really going to be picking up any extra time with this strategy, simply just holding jump and forward. Melwest is going for an interesting glitch here, a jump roll by simply walking into this cart rather than jumping and then getting hit. Diddy is able to jump out and soar through the air most of the level. There is a cart we'll have to get back in order to properly finish the level. Now it's just a matter of avoiding some of these enemies. We have seen die, if not necessarily touching an enemy. Diddy drops really quickly after this roll. You can see when Mel West lets it go. Actually see some players got caught dropping a little bit too far and dying off the bottom of the screen. But the fun is just about over for Mel West and just beginning for Cute Shadow, who is in Poison Pond, a very difficult water level. Like you said, we'll see how it goes. This is the part where we saw someone lose on guard on that fish right there, actually. But Cute Shadow is able to hold on. Mel West is in the cart, about to finish up with the level. Brother Main just behind Cute Shadow now in Poison Pond, and Double Tifa is not going to be super jumping on elevator antics here.
Yeah, they chose to go through the level normally. Elevator antics is where the infinite jump starts to cost a lot, actually. You can go through the level quickly if you know how to speedload the level without dying. So I totally understand why you would go for the infinite jump, but also the infinite jump can be quite boring. You just do the correct manip, press right, and wait for the level to be done. So just if you want to beat your PB, learning how to do that very specific level is going to save you some time. Mel West, about like learning a level, Mel West is just showing how much they've learned on Blackout Basement. The light goes dark and you have to know exactly where you are using the very few bananas as cues when the level is pitch black, and you just see the single bananas. You do not even see them where they're grouped up together. So it's a tricky one. You want to know exactly where the enemies are, and Mel West shows how much they've practiced on that very specific level.
Cute Shadow switching to Donkey so that he is the one who takes the hit, and it is Diddy who rolls through the level. Brother Main doing the same. He's switching a couple times there, but does finally get right Kong in front. Mel West showing off the most boss fight in video games, perhaps.
This is going
simply
to be
waiting it out here. Not too much going on. Devil Tifa is in Pond and has not got on guard yet, so is going to take a hit and lose Diddy. That's going to cost him a little bit as he's waiting very patiently now for these mincers as he heads towards on guard. And it's weird when you have Donkey Kong on this thing, the way that he lurches back every time that you dash forward. It's honestly, like, it's funny to look at it, but it's weird when you're playing it because it's so different from the sprite that you're used to controlling that it can actually be a little weird and throw you off. So Tifa's going to have to deal with that while he looks for his Kong, Ghost Death, and Caprique. I think Ghost Death is actually at the end of the stage and is finishing it without on guard, but no, never mind. Well, was that a K or a G? It's a little fuzzy.
It was a G. It's okay. Right at the end. Yeah, it's when you don't know, try to look for the few cues you have. But yeah, you start to have a good lineup for the Speed Gaming Talk Show. Speed Gaming Talk Show number 1. What's the best video game bird? And Video Game Talk Show number 2, what's the worst boss fight? And certainly DKC1 boss fights are very underwhelming. Brother Main showing off the end of the last minecart level, and Cute Shadow in Blackout Basement moving quickly, but just a little bit slower than Mel West, waiting for some platform, still knowing exactly what they're doing, but just like not going for the most tricky stuff. I do think even if the level was not pitch black, they would still go a little bit slower and waiting for some platforms. Double Tifa is done with the infinite cartwheel part of the level and almost done with the minecart, as they're catching up. Actually, they started a little bit late due to stream delay. I don't know if Prosper is playing the feed maybe a little bit faster, so it allows for the stream to catch up, or if actually Devil Tifa is doing better than it looks.
Guess the leaderboard will tell the tale. Mel West is in tanked up trouble. There's nothing particularly difficult, well, except for the super jump roll, I guess, that I don't think we'll ever see again, unfortunately. Maybe we'll see it. Certainly we hope so, but Otherwise, it is a long level without any particularly difficult tricks, but just with the length of it and how punishing it is when you die, and how tense things get when that light starts to blink. Even small challenges can start to become quite difficult and meaningful. So it is a pretty tense level. He's most of the way through it now. Exiting here at the end. Yeah, a lot of players will play it really safe with these last two enemies just because they really don't want to die at the end of such a long level. So Melwest is now done. Moving on to Manic Mincer's Brother Main is in boss drum fight. Devil pulling through the orangutan was a problem for so many people at the end of Blackout Basement, but not for him. And Cute Shadow is about to really get going with Tanked Up Trouble as well. Super jump for Melwest off the Ramby box. So we're going to be skipping most of Manic Mincer's, and a couple of levels up really are probably going to be super jumped over here.
Manic Mincer's is the easiest infinite jump setup, so if you want to learn how to do that glitch, it's actually quite easy on that very specific level. Just want to take a hit immediately, keeping on the right button pressed, and then picking back up the DK barrel and switching characters and jumping on the Ramby box will make it. So actually letting off the ledge and landing on the Ramby box will make it. So it's actually pretty cool. We see lots of boss fights on screen with Devil Tifa, Ghostess, and Cow Quick actually fighting currently the oil drum. I don't remember the name exactly of the boss. This one is so dumb. And they're done. Entering Chimp Caverns for Devil Tifa. Tanked Up Trouble coming up next. Brother Main and Cute Shadow doing as best as they can to survive here. The final world is all about super jumping, as demonstrated by Melwest, and surviving on the other levels.
Misty Mine is another level where it is not necessarily faster to super jump, mostly because you're seeing all these enemies as the screen scrolls by. You can be doing a lot of rolls, a lot of extendo rolls to get up to the ridiculous speeds that you can get up to in this game when you roll through 3 or 4 enemies. And you can chain that for a while, so this level can go by very quickly, but because there are enemies, so many dangerous enemies, and because extendo rolls are so difficult to really get consistent at with the inputs, it is a level that demands a very high level of execution. So a lot of players have opted, rather than put in the huge amount of effort and time and risk in executing on this level, that we are seeing more super jumps. The super jump was at least pretty well timed there for Melwest. You do need to figure out when to let go of the button so that you come down at the right time. Otherwise, you can be feeling a little foolish waiting to come down from your gigantic jump at the end of the level into another dark level that is going to remain quite dark in loopy lights for Melwest. Brother Main has fallen in Tanked Up Trouble, and he's only got Diddy here, or Donkey rather.
Yeah, they were Donkey, and they messed up the 3Bs section. Like when you're playing Diddy's hitbox is so small you can just crouch under all 3. But as DK, he tried to jump above the middle one, and that's the trap. You should like jump, crouch, jump, and sadly died. Lost a lot of time. And Brother Main, they were like first 2 games ago overall, and fell behind because of inertia, and now they have to build their confidence back up for the last 2 games, and that's not how you do it. And I'm getting scared for them, as Devil Tifa is moving quickly. They actually passed Brother Main on platform Pearls. Cute Shadow is super jumping above Manic Mincer's, just a little bit ahead of Devil Tifa, and Melwest, no one apparently can catch up. Platform Pearls starting for them. And Platform Pearls killed a lot of players early in the season, but this is the grand finals, and it's been a while since it killed anyone. I don't remember how well it went last week, but I do seem to recall that it was actually going great, except for Berumondo, who died once here and then died a couple of times on King Carol, sadly. Oh, Melwest losing Didi, and that's a bad sign. You want to keep both Kong alive as long as possible.
Yeah, this is before the check and pretty far away from a DK barrel, so he is going to have to just rough it here with DK. We talk about this every time we show this game, but DK It's much clunkier than Diddy in a lot of ways. He leaves the checkpoint barrel now, and there's also DK barrel, so he's going to get Diddy back, and we'll see if he's going to. Yeah, he is going to switch there. Even if DK is capable of, especially a level like platform perils, where you're often just waiting from a platform and just jumping to the next one, DK is quite capable of doing what Diddy does in those situations, but he just looks and feels different and heavier, and it's bad, and it can be off-putting and difficult to deal with when you get stuck in situations where you have to play him. So we saw that be a problem for Brother Main, and was not a problem for Mel West. Barely finding the time to grab the barrel, but then couldn't get throw off on the Crusher, so he drops. He was pretty far away from that checkpoint barrel, so that is a setback. He still has the lead, still has it by a fair margin, but this is, I don't know, I'm getting facts of Shovel Knight. Mel West way in front, and then late in the game starting to run into some problems.
Yeah, Shovel Knight was certainly difficult for them as they died 3 times in a row in the boss rush. You don't want that to happen, and that would be dying 3 times in Platform Pearls in DKC, as the final 2 levels, the Neki Refight and King Carol's are... You don't want to die, and you can die, but that's not where the most of the action happens, so... MLS is going to play safe here, not going for the jump roll of this platform, and... Yeah, he's just aiming for the exit here, not going for anything fancy. And yeah, Neki's Revenge, so that means they're almost done. 3 minutes left, that's a fantastic time for Mel West, assuming they don't die. Once again, I don't want to commentary curse anyone. And Devil Tifa and Q-Shadow in Loopy Light, Go Quick Brother Man in Misty Mines. Ghost Death is going to enter Loopy Light right now, and Fireman and Skunkoff super jumping above Manic Mincers. So it's pretty close for everybody is doing their best trying to catch up with Mel West, but Mel West is already done with the refight with Neki, and will move on to Gangplank Galleon.
Trying to get an idea for how far along Loopy Light's Q-Shadow and Devil Tifa are. Q-Shadow's screen's a little darker, so I'm having trouble picking out where exactly they are, but they're both must be very far along this level by now, very close to each other, 5 points apart on the leaderboard, and I think it's going to be Devil Tifa who finished the level first. No, coming down there, right there, it was Q-Shadow, so he's out, and then Devil Tifa right behind, so very close, probably not 5 points apart, so this might not be the game where Q-Shadow overtakes Devil Tifa that it was looking like it was going to earlier on. That battle continues through Platform Perils now as Mel West is about halfway through Gangplank Galleon, finding these hits on King K. Rool. It's a simple boss fight. It's pretty straightforward. You dodge attacks that are the same every time. There's a lot of safe spots for the attacks where you don't have to do anything, like we're seeing for Mel West. And then you just wait and jump on his head. That's all there is to it. But it's just such a long fight. It's very tense at the end of the run. And it's gotten to some people. We have seen some people take hits. We've seen some people die on King K. Rool. And it is one of the most costly things that can happen in the game, in the UD. So it is a problem, certainly. But easy, no problem. Mel West is done, actually. He's found the final hit. Here comes the credits. The final time about 37:22. So much to Claptrap
for the
coding Crusher for the carrot. Wait, is that
the concept? And the commander, King K. Rool. Wow.
Wait, King K. Rool. He's in the credits.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
I'm
What's
not sure.
going on?
What's happening?
You knew we had to do it at least once more. The fight continues for Mel West.
Oh.
Almost done.
3 more hits and they're done. This is the final part. Just play safe. No commentary curse here. Mel West knows exactly what's at stake now. They know anything can happen, but just playing safe, dodging King K. Rool, and one final hit will do it, and finally, that should be the correct credit sequence with the banana falling. Q-Shadow and Devil Tifa and the Neki refight, the Neki's Revenge, and Brother Main still in Platform Pearls, along with Ghost Death and Go Quick. And Brother Main actually dying.
Brother Main?
Wow.
He picked up a ton of speed off of a roll and just all that speed directly either. So that is a flashy death, to be sure. It is a death, and he has no checkpoint as well. So he is back to the start of the level. And he would like some insurance in a DK barrel, so he's keeping an eye out for that. Sure, we got Q-Shadow and Devil Tifa neck and neck still. Q-Shadow jumped out to the early lead, or at least that's what it appeared. There was I think there was some stream delay business going on, but did have the lead and is now very close to Devil Tifa. I'm not sure if we're going to see these two players swap, if we're going to see someone else crack the top 4 for the first time. It's pretty exciting.
This is
one more hit for Q-Shadow.
Yeah, this is close between those two, and it's a 9 second per point game, so it doesn't go too fast. So I don't expect huge swings, but you still want to keep on going. And Brotherman has a nice lead over Devil Tifa on 3rd place, but they died quite a lot, and they're still not done with platform pearls, so they have to move on quickly. Fireman in platform pearls as well. So everybody seems to be done shortly, and yeah, Devil Tifa done with first phase now, and Brotherman finally entering the Neki's Revenge level. So it's done for. No, Q-Shadow is also in the middle sequence. My bad. Brotherman starting the fight. Fireman touching the middle checkpoint. Everybody's moving quickly. Fireman, I'm not sure how aggressive they are with their movement right now, and they seem to be actually trying to go as fast as possible, going for some jump rolls, and yeah, getting. Oh wow, that's too bad. They got the correct bounce on the first Kremlin and then got trapped by the second one. You don't want to be doing DK here. It's almost the end of the level. Fireman has to play safe.
Part where having Diddy really makes a difference. He has like a very different throw animation, so even just the arc of these barrels can be pretty different, and you do want to be want the extra little bit of jump height and distance that you can get out of Diddy. We are seeing a big old banana drop down for Shadow, just behind Devil Tifa. Both players now finished with DKC, Brotherman in Gangplank Galleon, and Fireman is going to be able to close it out with Donkey on platform perils. It gets Diddy back thanks to this boss fight barrel, and is back on track. Ghost Death subbing in the bottom right, also on Gangplank Galleon. Player change happening in the top right. Caprique, haven't seen too much of them on stream. Generally it seems to finish before we get a chance to put them up there, so we'll get it to check in and see. Yes, it is indeed more Gangplank Galleon for them.
Yeah, they're actually almost done, so we try to switch as soon as the first 4 runners are done, but sadly everybody is so quick that we cannot get too much gameplay out of the other players. Fireman entering Gangplank Galleon right now, 42 minutes in. This is actually quite slow. Ghost Death, I'm not sure how they're going to feel with their run. KTKC was one of their strengths, and finishing a little bit far behind Devil Tifa, Q-Shadow, and Spilling God might be difficult for them to deal with and to leverage that run. It's not going to be possible for them to leverage that run to get back to top 4, so we'll see how well Spectral goes, but everything seems to be more and more locked up. Brotherman is almost done with Skincare Ball, only 3 more final hits. And yeah, Chad is pointing out that nobody anymore is jumping alongside with Skincare Roll. Oh, Brotherman is doing it a little bit, but we've seen a lot of players actually die trying to imitate Skincare Roll, and you know, you'd rather be safe and leave the entertainment for like the others. Here we go, done for Brotherman, GG, 42-50. Quick entering the second phase with the fake credits.
Our final 2 raiders to finish. Brotherman again finishing of the pack, was the leader at multiple points during this tournament, especially early on. Was like 20 points ahead of second place after just 2 games. It was very impressive, and is definitely not putting the same dominant performance in day 2 here. So we'll see if they're able to hold on, if you know, we start to see a battle for not just fourth place, but third, even among even more people, start to happen. Maybe that's the way this tournament starts to shift. Perhaps he certainly did do a fantastic job of earning himself enough points that these sorts of races that are just good but not great are going to be good enough. Perhaps we'll see. Fireman looking for the last hit now on King K. Rool. Kerpuig is done as well, getting lectured by Cranky Kong. The 8th player to do so is Fireman, going to join him as the 9th. There it is.
Yep.
Something like a 44.09 is going to be the time for Fireman. And that's going to be DKC. That's going to be game number 8. Just 2 left to go in the UD6 Grand Finals. We're really coming down to it now.
Yeah, like we've played through 8 game, Cuphead, Story About My Uncle, Metal Slug, Trials 2, Shovel Knight, The End is Nigh, Inertia, and DKC right now. And scores are adding up, but maybe not where we predicted them to. It's like, to be honest, I was expecting Brother Main to be untouchable after The End is Nigh, and apparently that's not how it's going to happen right now. They're falling behind more and more, and actually being challenged for 3rd and 4th place by Q Shadow and Fireman, so we'll see how well that goes for them. Meanwhile, Mel West is just doing great. Inertia was did just that for them, and Super Lingot secured the 2nd place with both that Inertia and that DKC run being sub 40, and sub 40 is a very, very good time. To congrats to anyone that's able to do that.
We can take a look at the times. 30-point lead for Mel West. Super Lingot taking 2nd. Like you said, Brother Main still has a bit of a lead over Devil Tifa. You know, is not so hot as Brother Main has done over the past 2 games. Devil Tifa also not quite at the usual level of play that we expect to see from them as well. And Q Shadow has been playing very well and consistently, and that is starting to really challenge. Devil Tifa has actually dropped back 5 more points due to that stream delay compared to Devil Tifa, but you know, just 11 points away is still within striking distance, even with only 2 games left to play. Indeed, even Fireman and Ghost Death, who are 1 point apart from each other, are not out of it yet. 60 points away from Q Shadow, 70 away from Devil Tifa. That is a lot of points to be made up over 2 games, but Spectre Ball is the kind of game where things can go really right for some people and really wrong for others. So one really interesting Spectre Ball later, we could see a very different looking leaderboard, but for now it's looking pretty good for the top 3. And the battle between Devil Tifa and Q Shadow continues.
The top 1, I'm not sure. I can see Super Lingot actually like get the 1st place with a very good Spectral Ball. Spectral Ball has been in the past tournament one of the greatest deciders. Inertia certainly in this tournament is going to be weighted very heavily, but like it's going to be an interesting one. Spectral Ball is that weird ball game, and maybe everybody is a little bit scared about, because it has been better for some and worse for the others. So I'm not sure how well that will go. And yeah, this is the grand final, so whoever gets 1st place is going to be one of the grand winners for the UD6, but top 4 will get invited to France to play live. It's going to be great. You'll be there. There will be a live speed gaming restream, so it's going to be interesting, as I've learned that the daylight saving shift is that weekend in France, so it's going to be great timing wise, just perfect. And we are going to have a Russian restream as well on the twitch.tv/comicola stream, so it's going to be a great event. Just before that, that's a small cliffhanger, because we are going to take a little break as we are getting ready for the last 2 games. So will Melwes keep his 1st place? Will Devil Tifa stay in top 4? Q Shadow, Fireman and Ghost Death are very close behind. We'll see that just in a moment. So 10-minute breaks and we'll be right back. And welcome back. This is the grand finals. Final 2 games upcoming next. Melwest Super Lingot, Brother Main, Devil Tifa, Cute Shadow, Fireman, Ghost Death, Quick and Skunk Off are struggling to get into that top 4 and battling for top 1. Mythical, what's your prediction for the next 2 games?
I would love to see a shakeup in the top 4, but my prediction is probably that Devil Tifa is going to hold on, is going to remain the gatekeeper and manage to shut. Mostly because Spectre Ball, the game where there's perhaps the biggest difference in PBs between Devil Tifa and Cute Shadow, who currently sits with the best chance of cracking the top 4. It is about a 30-point gap between the two of them in Spectre Ball, and that counts for a lot. If there was any game where someone could a 30-point upset, it might be Spectre Ball. It has got a weird physics going on with this ball rolling game, and we'll take a look at it in just a moment, but not before we take a look at the leaderboard to reconfirm where the players are. I guess they haven't moved since the last time we saw it before the break, but just to remind you, Mel West sits in first place with 30 points. 27, I guess, if you want to be precise about such things. Superlink God is in second, also firmly 30 points ahead of one person, 30 points behind the other. Brother Main has fallen just a little bit, but still quite pretty at 1,484 points. And Debfa in fourth, 1,441, just 11 points ahead of Cute Shadow. They were a little closer before, DKC 5 points apart. Still quite close, even with only 2 games left to play. And 4 is what matters. 4 people will move on to play in the Ultimate Finals live in France, October 27th and 28th. It is quite a prize that the players are competing for, and it's not quite clear which of these 9 players are going to be the 4 to move on.
Yeah, it is. Well, if not for Spectral, like, put any other game, I would like be more confident in guessing who'd make it. But Spectral, like, really in 9s, like, this is hell. That game is like Inertia. It showed a lot of discrepancy between race times and PBs, and the players throughout the season have worked on more consistent strats and better strats. But we've seen Melwest on the very skip we're seeing right now on screen, like, actually reset multiple times last week, just because it's hard. Just getting correctly every skip, every jump it's tricky. It is a difficult game, and the ball game associated with it, there's like that weird physics and that weird sense of movement. You know you will get there. Ball games don't move like any other 3D games. Like, it's not exactly a platformer, it's not pure physics based, it's a mix of both, and who knows? So I do expect, obviously, the runners who practice the most and, you know, grind the most to have the best result. But out of those 10, Spectral is the one that could shake up things the most. Not sure. Brother Main, I do hope they like took a deep breath and forgot whatever happened on Inertia and DKC and are ready to come back at it. But they fell behind significantly from first to third place, and they should be there. They should stay on top 4. Not that they necessarily deserve it, but they're still, like, by far, like, 54 points ahead of 5th place. So I do not expect such a big, like, fall. But who knows? Like, we can see the PBs on screen. They're pretty close between all those players. Brother Main has currently the world record for that category. This is the Spectral any percent with double jump. You have 3 different powers, and that leads to 3 different categories for that game, and the runners are getting ready.
We've got this sort of lush hub area before we jump into the first level where everyone is waiting. Devil Tifa's playing around on the rock, but it's time to go, sir. Please go through the door. Again, we have a little bit of stream delay and stuff that we'll get sorted out in due time. The others have gone. They are all racing towards this waterfall, which is the first major obstacle in the speedrun. You're supposed to kind of go around it, but by hitting the wall in front of it in just such a way, you will get enough speed to hop up on top of it. Hasn't been a problem for any of the other players using their speed And Brother Main losing a little bit of his, transferring that into this curl around the mountain and then the double jump up onto the ledge. The double jump, though, was very clean for Brother Main, so he is right there with the other two. It's a little bit unfortunate that we don't get to see Devil Tifa alongside the others. In real time, we will see what their in-game time is at the end of the day. Just a little bit unfortunate we don't get to compare live. The first level has gone very well for all the players, which is to be expected. Maybe the waterfall gets you or something, but
nice
for the most part, it's really level 2 where things start.
Yeah, Devil Tifa just jumping around there almost gave me like an anxiety attack. Like just seeing them not going and just like derping around was not very fortunate. But Brother Main, Melwest, and Superling God finished exactly together the first level and are going pretty strong on the second one. So yeah, nice sync between Melwest and Superling God. And yeah, we are going to replace Cute Shadow. That apparently, yeah, is just in the ruins here, the desert level, and this is like the sync between the players right now is incredible, and all three finishing almost exactly together, Superling God a few seconds behind, and we are entering the volcanic crater, the level that we are going to skip the most of.
Yeah, there's a pretty big skip about to happen here with this boost off of this ledge. It is going to take them pretty much to the end of the level. It depends. You can go for the left side moving platforms, or you can sort of lay up on the right side and do them. That's what Melwest had to do. Superling God picking up a bit of time. Their Brother Main lose a bit of time, but that level is already done. They're moving on to the very difficult Snowy Peaks, and I mean, it is a little bit difficult, but the biggest thing is that there's just a surprising lack of checkpoints early on in the level. If they were to fall off here, they would go all the way back to the start. Brother Main almost barely just hitting the ledge with enough speed and spin to roll up onto the ledge, and he falls short. So we're gonna see this all the way back to the start now for Brother Main.
This is the most punishing death you can get in this game. Like, he died right before the checkpoint, and you skip a lot of checkpoints at the start of Snowy Peaks. This is very unfortunate. They need to keep on moving. Like in chat, everybody is guessing on Brother Main's final score, and a lot of people are counting on actually Brother Main succeeding right now, and it's not too bad. They did not lose too much, but the sync was real between Superling God, Melwest, and Brother Main, and now Superling God pulled ahead. Second place is Melwest, and Brother Main and Cute Shadow are currently very close together in Snowy Peaks. The Sky Ruins is an interesting one. It is not an easy level, and yeah, you want to reset here so you can get the correct cycle on the fans, and here, using the momentum you kept and the air current, you can hover a little bit and keep on moving, but this is not an easy trick, and a lot of people are resetting here. And Superling God losing a lot of time.
This was something he struggled with the last time he was playing Spectre Ball in the Awkward Tournament, but he nails it first try. And that is a really important trick. We're seeing Brother Main setting up for it now. Superling God is still trying to get this trick. Brother Main also gets it first try, so he has jumped ahead of Superling God, who's going to go for it. This time he gets the curler, and that part is good. And then the follow-through afterwards, also good for Superling God. So the Sky Ruins playing an important role in deciding where these players are going to end up, and that's pretty typical. It is a very, very hard skip that the players are going for there.
I'm surprised with Superling God resetting multiple tries, and well, if you go for it and you land just next to the platform, you cannot do much, but you could go for just a slightly easier strat. Everybody is very close together. Ghost Death a little bit behind. That's not exactly what they need if they want to come into top 4, but we'll see. Spectral Ball is a long game. Well, it's a very short game, but each individual level is quite long, and especially the space construct at the end. The Towering Mountain for Melwest right now, followed by Brother Main quite closely, is going okay. Cute Shadow going the long way around in Sky Ruins here. That's what I expected from maybe Superling God to revert to, but they did not need that. Brother Main succeeding in the skip here. Every single skip in the Towering Mountain are actually more difficult than they look, and the players are very consistent in that level, so pretty pleased with that. A few jumps away from Melwest, but Melwest does not stop for anything currently, and they're just like probably going to go all the way to the left route here. You have two different choices mostly, and Melwest is not triggering the central pillar. Instead of that, they're just like moving along here, directly climbing the staircase with a nice bounce. And this is an interesting route. Not everybody is using, but it seems to have quite good results for Melwest.
Looks like Brother Main is going to be doing the same thing. You do have to worry about these barrels on this ramp here, but there is a pretty obvious path on the left side that will get you through. And then you've got one big transfer off of this ramp, and Melwest is going to be able to land safely up on that pillar. It's not the end of the world if you slip off, but it's definitely a time loss trying to get back up. Across this little narrow bridge is where the routes kind of sync up at that point, and almost done with Towering Mountain. Just a final sequence of jumps here. These jumps are a little bit easier coming from the angle that Brother Main and Melwest are going to be coming at, I think. Super Linkout also taking this route. We'll see which direction Huge Shadow goes in. Melwest moving on to Space. Construct has a fair bit of a lead. Not too much, but not, you know, when you consider how fast the Spectre Ball run is overall, it is a decent sized lead. Getting hung up a little bit there on some of these elevators. There's, you know, 2 or 3 major things going on in this level, and coming up on one shortly is going to be these tractor beams.
Yeah, the tractor beams, especially on that S-curve here, can give you weird angles, but when you're moving so fast, they don't seems to be too bad for Melwest. Wow, Melwest missing the jump here, having to go the loop again. That was a weird one. The physics in that game sometimes behave in unpredictable ways. This is the most important skip in the game. You do not want to climb entirely the tower you can see on the left, so everybody is going, and Melwest had too much speed actually, so they saw that and immediately reset. Good move, like they know exactly what they want out of that loop, and that's way better.
It looks good. There's kind of 2 places you can aim for. You can aim for the lower part that looks like Melwest is aiming for, or get the right launch, you can actually go from the top. The important thing is both have checkpoints, and that's what you're really looking for. Melwest does have that checkpoint reached at the top of his, and as he sets up for the final jump is the exit right there. We're looking at it. Very rough idea of where it actually is nice. In space, but Melwest knows exactly where it is. He's going to finish in about 8:17 or so, which is a very good time for Spectre Ball.
Yeah, this is actually over 230 points. When we started the season, the world record for that game was 10 minutes and 4 seconds, and that changed, to put it lightly. It's just one runner on a game like that, where you can find different routes and different strats, was not enough, and the UD community worked on that game actually quite a lot, and the world record is currently over 2 minutes faster than that, so the scores are amazing, because we do scale it depending on the best known time at the start of the season. Super Lingard missing the final jump, so Brother Main is going to pass them, but they all should be done quickly. Sadly, Devil Tifa is far behind. Do remember they started the stream delay is about a minute, but still, this is a lot of time lost for Devil Tifa. And Huge Shadow is actually way ahead. If Huge Shadow gets the skip here first try, that could be bad for Devil Tifa. I'm not sure. We'll see. I don't want to commentary curse anyone, but we'll see how well that goes for Huge Shadow right here. Huge Shadow seeing their angle was wrong and immediately reset. Everybody is done in the top 3, so we're moving in Ghost Death and Fireman as well.
Oh, I thought that launch looked good, but I think it was the frame rate was kind of playing tricks on Huge Shadow. Didn't like the speed on that one. Being able to identify how your jump is going to go as quickly as possible is an important skill. You don't want to waste time doing this whole jump and then find out, you know what, I wasn't going to make it. I should have reset. Huge Shadow went for the top and didn't quite get it, so he tried to fall down onto the lower point with the checkpoint, and it looks like it's something he's a little bit familiar with, is looking around trying to find out where he is in 3D space, and he didn't get the checkpoint, but he is going to go on the ramp and just go from here. So he's only got one shot at this. If he doesn't get this, he's going to have to do the loop again from that neon blue escape. It is a very difficult trick and sequence. He doesn't want to have to do it again. He wants to get it right into the exit here, and he doesn't land it. Oh, no.
Wow, I was totally sure that was it. It was so close, and I don't know why they did not get a second double jump. Like it, I'm not sure. It should have reset. A very good skip on the reset here. They should like be done super quickly. Devil Tifa missing the skip a couple of times, giving the time for Shadow to actually do the level. Once again, Devil Tifa has a lot of stream delay, but still has to beat those final jumps. And the time is ticking so quickly. It's 3 seconds is a point, and the time difference between Ghost Death and Devil Tifa is going to be gigantic right now.
Yeah, well, I haven't got a chance to look at the leaderboard myself, but just we can see the spoilers in chat from a very excited Ghost Death, who seems to be pretty happy with his time. We can take a look at Devil Tifa is going to land the final jump and is going to be our final finish, at least on stream. We'll see if, I'm not sure if we solved the stream delay and we were looking at a Devil Tifa that actually was at 11:44, or if it was still delayed and it was more like 10:44, 10:50 or something like that. We'll take a look at the leaderboard and see, because it is going to be very important. Just 11 points separated Devil Tifa from Cued Shadow. Something like 30 points separated him from Ghost Death. So what we saw right there, it could have been the difference, could really set up the final game as something special here for who is going to get this fourth spot.
Aria of Sorrow has been consistent for the players in the past few months. Like, everybody worked on strats. Cued Shadow demonstrated during the August tournament how well you can do without the creaking skull. But it's a game you have to practice precisely. I'm not sure how well the runners have practiced Aria of Sorrow recently. You have a lot of very precise manips. All the deaths can be super scary, and you have to like weigh in what you're going to do. So we'll just take a peek at the result, and we'll get ready for Aria of Sorrow right after that.
All right, so it was indeed a 10:54 and not an 11. So much better. It could have been something like a 10:30, I think, if he was able to land that final jump that would have closed the gap of 11 points down to 7 or 8. Instead, it sits at almost 16, 17 or something like that, which is doable in Aria of Sorrow, but against a strong opponent like Devil Tifa, it's going to be pretty difficult. Not impossible. Ghost Death as well, with a fantastic 929 in that Spectre Ball, has earned a ton of points and is now, part of the equation for this top 4 spot. Is got 43 points to make up in Aria of Sorrow in one game. 43 points is a lot, especially Aria of Sorrow is a long game, so we're looking at 9 seconds per point, and we're looking at like minute gap that you need to overcome on top of the strong opponent that is Devil Tifa. But it is possible, so it is just got a little more interesting here for our final game.
It is going to be a strong finish. So Aria of Sorrow, for, let me open my play records. For Brother Main, it's an over 210 points game with the best race time of 34:17. So they could like secure by far a second or third place, depending on what Super Lingot does. Super Lingot best race time is a 37:30, so that's 196 points. That's very good, and they had like very good runs recently. So I'm pretty sure they will like try to keep or stay close to second place as hard as they can. Melwest, with a PB of 34:39 and a best race time at 35:29, should, like, most likely, except like huge collapse or never saving and dying on chaos or something like that, they should keep first place. It's the most likely scenario. Like, if you had to bet and save money or stuff, just place your bets on Melwest first place. That's the most safe thing you can do. Devil Tifa, once again, very good player, PB at 34.18, best race time at 34.48. They're just very good player, but how well... We haven't seen much of the Ultifa recently, so that's why we're so cautious. And I've seen a lot of Cute Shadows and a lot of Ghost Deaths, and they both practiced very much Aria of Sorrow and try to get as consistent as they can. But their PB, like Cute Shadow, is at 37 minutes and Ghost Death is at 38.30, roughly. So that's still a long way, and that's not much point, but because it's a 9 second per point game, you need to pull a lot of time to be able to pass Devil Tifa. So Devil Tifa is currently 17 points ahead of Cute Shadow. That's 3 minutes. 3 minutes is not much in a speedrun that lasts over roughly like 30-40 minutes. So we'll see. What's your advice for the runners, Mythical? Save everywhere and play safe?
I think if you're Cute Shadow and Ghost Death, you need to, like you said, it's doable to get those 20-30 points, but I think you need to push yourself in order to put yourself in the position to get those points. And I think that means taking some risks. I think it means don't get insane, don't do things you're not ready to do. But if there is something where you're like, I'm not sure if I should, I think they should go for it. I think that is how you come back from the sort of deficit that they're at. You've basically thrown it all away, but I think you have to take those chances if you want to come away with the victory at the end. So I'm not them, certainly, but that would be my advice to them. And I also want to point out Cute Shadow. I was the one who didn't get the Creaking Skull drop and was able to play without it. So yeah. That is a concern. You know, if Devil Tifa doesn't get it, pretty sure we're going to see a reset and we're going to see a 30-40 second time loss right off the bat. So that's something that's not going to hurt Devil Tifa as bad. Cute Shadow, and it's also probably as a general, Cute Shadow and Ghost Death are both very consistent racers. Certainly, Devil Tifa is maybe the most consistent racer in terms of their history in the UD, but they're both very consistent as well. So it's very unlikely that they're going to fall apart or anything in this final game, and it means that Devil Tifa needs to be the Devil Tifa that we know and love. So we're going to get set up here. We got Cute. We got just a skull. I don't know what to make of this for Devil Tifa. And then Brother Main outdoing him with even more skulls.
This is
they want that free skull drop. Yeah.
Oh, you're saying that's the cheat for
I think so.
100% Creaking Skull. We'll see. Mo was just going for M. It's okay. Just no need to enter the entire name. Cute Shadow being cute, and Devil Tifa and Brother Main really praying for that Creaking Skull drop, and Fireman, Superling God, Copper Quick, getting ready. And here we go. Ghost Death apparently having a little bit of stream delay, but everybody else started very much in sync. And entering the castle corridor, we are going to go through that room multiple times, but with very different loadouts. And so far we have nothing but the worst sword in the game, so we are going to try to get something as fast as we can, and immediately we get the short sword, which is probably the second worst sword in the game, so we are going to try to move on quickly to some other stuff. Immediately every player is going to save here. That save is mandatory because you need to be able to reset the game so you can get the RNG manip you want to go for, and that's why everybody is saving there, even though it's so close to the start.
All right, Brother Main's going to be the first one to set up for this. There is a little song and dance you can do. It turns out the random game has a fairly controllable way to it. That basically there's some things use every single frame is changing the randomness. This is not one of those where certain things will affect the randomness, and the Brother Main was able to manipulate the Creaking Skull drop. Mel West as well. Puik, Fireman, Devil Tifa gets it. Very important. and it's looking like we didn't get it from Super Link God and Cute Shadow. So very, very unfortunate. Also reset. Last time this happened, they played it out. This time they're continuing from the save, it looks like.
Brother Main killing the bower. I always like that enemy because it drops so rarely its soul, and we've seen some of it during some runs. You don't want souls you are not expecting to use, because that's just costing you a little bit of time. Cute Shadow a little bit late here to the party, resetting to get the creaking skull and not getting it a second time, so they're going to have to go without it, and sadly they were the one that needed the best luck and the best execution to be able to get into top 4, so that might just be done right here, we never know. The most significant part of the game is going to be the top floor with the triple manip. That's going to be just in about like 25 minutes, and before that it's all about pure movement, execution, and correct like routing. And we haven't seen too much error in the first few rooms, in the first few sections in the game in a while. Everybody seems to do nice. We've seen some deaths in the Manticore though, so we'll see how well that goes, and we'll see how much the players are going to save. This is my main concern. I would rather see someone save rather than someone die without saving, obviously.
There are multiple opportunities to do so, with varying costs in terms of time to detour towards them to save. One is coming up pretty soon for Brother Main, who is our leader for now, is about to come through a big room with a big old skull. He might just, just through it. If you've got the creaking skull, you can use that to take it out if you want. Taking a couple more hits, probably unintended there, and the save room is right there, and he's going to take it. He's at, 2/3 health or something. It's honestly not too bad, but he is feeling a little cautious, perhaps, and he is going to do that. So, pleasing for Twin, I'm sure, to see that safety save and the health refill heading into the first boss fight. And Creaking Skull, we worked so hard for this drop, so much damage. This boss, Brother Main, is doing a good job of getting his own hits in with that short sword. That was a really good boss fight.
No, why is he picking that up? We had almost full health. Like, I like the save, I like the safety, but he could have saved like 5 seconds for free there. And I will disagree with a lot of choices, and obviously they're probably right and I'm probably wrong, but that was my reaction. You do not need to pick up the orbs that drops on the bosses. You should just go, in my opinion, just go for that if you really need those. So Cute Shadow is going to be a little bit late to the party, but Devil Tifa and Melwest are very, very synced up together. Melwest going for some backdashes, but you can see that did not save time at all for them. They entered the room together. Melwest went for some 2 backdashes and did not save anything. That's pretty cool. Just because like one backdash will not actually save you any time, like just a couple of frames, and you need to do that consistently throughout the entire run to be able to save up time. Wow, taking that into the face, Melwest is going to lose a little bit of time, and Brother Main is just one room ahead of them, so it's very close. And Brother Main, quick hesitation and actually going for the save here. I feel like Brother Main is just playing for keeping 3rd place and just being sure that they qualify for the Ultimate Finals. They know 1st place is out of reach, they just want to be there with us.
Yeah, I think your assessment is much correct. We can say something a little different going on with Cute Shadow without the Creaking Skull. We need more damage than 9 damage per hit, so Cute Shadow did a little detour for the Rapier, almost doubling, and with the double hit, actually, it's kind of quadrupling your damage in some cases, which is a big help against bosses like the Chimera, and of course the great armor that we're seeing from both Melwest and Brother Main. They are trying to get some hits in, getting it nice and close past that shield, getting right through it. But really, the Creaking Skull is the hero here. Brother Main finishing the boss just a couple frames ahead of Melwest, both of them very, and indeed tied almost down to the frame. Getting the Malfist double jump, going to open up a lot of options in everything, traversing the castle, avoiding enemies, and entering new areas. The double jump kind of top tier.
in any game, I feel like the double jump is going to be very much top tier. In any platformer you want, like being able to double jump is going to save you so much hassle. And in Eye of Saw, it's just like mandatory. Clearing a lot of rooms and clearing a lot of areas without the double jump would be a huge pain. Obviously and thankfully, the backdash, the double jumps, all those are like passive ability, passive souls. You have 3 slots on souls you have to equip to use them. The spear the runners are using from time to time is the blue soul. You have to press up plus attack to use it. The yellow souls, there will be picking up some of those, are passive abilities, but you can only have one of those. And the red souls are not sure exactly what they do. It's like the giant Batia, you press Y to use them. It's or I mixed up blue and red, but you have different ability. You have to make like some specific choices, and the players choose not to use the flying armor. That's why Mel West fell down on that very specific jump. You are mostly supposed to have the flying armor to clear the jump, but since they have the backdash ability and they know exactly how the momentum goes in that game, they use that to their advantage. Mel West passed bottom lane on the previous room. That's kind of difficult and random depending on how the winged skeleton behave. So currently in first place, Mel West is going to get to teleporter and go back to the start of the castle. Second place, Brother Main. Devil Tifa is taking their time on the screen right before that, and Cute Shadow is finally picking up the double jump.
It is the Grammar is probably the biggest trial you need to overcome if you don't have the Creaking Skull Soul. So that was very good for Cute to get through there, poking at him at his ankles with a rapier. Does eventually bring the beast down. He does get cursed. Magic is dropping quite a bit. I don't know if this is going to hurt him too bad. Feels like it is. He can opt for the save room to the left here, and looks like he's not too by it, so he's going to continue on. Brother Main and Mel West very close to each other. This has been fun to watch on the left side of the screen. Devil Tifa is also behind them. Race developing here, and they're heading towards some really tough content. We are about to use our double jump to do a little sequence break here. It doesn't look like much, but right there, that jump that Mel West just did is sort of unintended by hitting the very corner of the platform. It's just a little bit lower, something we can land on without the... what is the one that lets you walk on? Undine?
Undine, yeah.
Is the one that lets you walk on the surface of water. It's somewhere up in the castle somewhere. We don't want it. We don't need it. So we are here early in the Hanging Gardens, going to be moving on to the Clock Tower soon, where we will be fighting death. And it is a very tough sequence. The enemies get much stronger. And clearly our damage is horrible now. So we will need to pick up a new weapon in the Clock Tower to deal with death. It will help out a lot, but it's still a very tough fight.
Mel West knowing exactly where they're going. The floating gardens is a confusing area. It's not like linked directly to the map, and depending where you enter and where you leave, you will get to different places. The route is not too complicated for a Metroidvania game. Although, like, it's way too early to get to the Clock Tower, but everybody is getting there. We are super low level for this area. We have no armor. Well, we have the first armor, the leather one, but it's not very good. We don't have a good weapon yet, but there's a Mistletoe on the way. That's pretty cool, because the death fight, the death boss, has 4400 HP, and that's 100 hit to kill them. So it's going to be a long one, and it kills you in 3 hits. So you have to be pretty confident with your ability to dodge the hits and just deal damage. So we'll see how well that goes for all the players, but the first like major safety save should be there for everybody. Everybody will heal and probably save before the death fight.
Clock Tower is going well for everyone so far. Some of these enemies can be problems. The Medusas being a bit of a problem there for Mel West, spawning a cluster right at the end, blocking the door, and now getting blocked again on both sides, but he is able to get through this room. Brother Main is right behind him, jumping over the green, I don't know what it is, some kind of gargoyle demon looking thing. Mel West past the armor, is jumping up to the save room. Doesn't get away from the Harpy and the Harpy's kick. He doesn't die, and he is going to be able to refill that health, so not too much of a concern. Brother Main is able to fly up those platforms faster than people who actually do fly, so hats to him for that fancy footwork there. Mel West, first one to reach the boss fight. We can check in some of the other players. We got Clock Towers for Fireman and Caprique. Super Link God is in the Gardens, and I didn't quite get a look at our 8th racer, but we're back now with Mel West, who is doing pretty well here on the first phase. You're mostly concerned about survival, like you said. He does so much damage, kills you in 3 hits. These scythes are spawning all throughout at fixed intervals, so you're very mindful about where they are going to be. But if you do have an opportunity, you want to be doing some slash canceling, attacking in the air, landing, and then jumping out of it to attack again a little bit quicker. We can see a little bit of it there. Death is pretty high up, so we do have to make sure we get enough height on our jumps. But these little optimizers speed things up.
Each time Death does that attack, it moves. They move like 1 pixel higher up, and it makes like for very much harder slash canceling. So you don't want Death to chain attacks all the same all together, because Death move a little bit, and the more it moves like in one single direction, the harder the fights gets. This is a very good fight and a good time for Mel West. Brother Main and Devil Tifa are both on the Death's second phase, but Mel West gets the kill first. Brother Main should be done shortly, and Cute Shadow is a little bit behind. They need to be like 3 minutes ahead of Devil Tifa at the end, and that's going to be down to a major failure from Devil Tifa at that point, I feel.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way the story needs to go if you want to see a Cute Shadow in the top 4. Brother Main getting some off patterns at the end of this. I thought it was going to be over quite a while ago, but has just been unable to find the time to really get the hits in. Meanwhile, Devil Tifa is done, picked up the School of Soul, which instead of walking on top of will let you walk underwater, and that's what we're going to need to progress through the underground passageway. We're seeing some late Clock Tower visits from some of our other players, indeed into the death fight itself for Fireman and Caprique, and Ghost Death is... I don't think this is after the Clock Tower. I think he's either very far behind or very far ahead, and I'm not sure which, but he is not in the Clock Tower.
He is a little bit behind, I think. I didn't get a good look at him because I was just peeking at Cute Shadow start of the fight, which goes okay, but they're not using the Creaking Skull to clear out the small size, obviously, because they do not have the Creaking Skull, so they have to dodge everything, and that just makes for a complicated one. You need to be mindful of what's happening even more, because you have those small souls to dodge. So yeah, Cute Shadow using the Wing Skeleton Soul to throw some spears, and it is a tough fight. So they're just doing their best to dodge everything, and they're losing even more time compared to Devil Tifa, Brother Main, and Mel West. Mel West is already like buying some stuff, buying a lot of potions, because you are going to lose some HP. It's not like it's not safety measures. You are going to lose some HP intentionally or in some fights, and you also are going to need mana, because mana is going to allow you to use magic, and the magic abilities are quite powerful in Eye of Sorrow. So it's all studied, it's all precise, and it's a pretty good thing to have a lot of potions in hand just in case something goes wrong. Cute Shadow taking a big hit here, used 2 potions just to demonstrate my point, so it's pretty cool. They have to stop now. We got the point. The potions are good, but you do not have any more, so careful, Cute Shadow. Yep, nice jump. Passing through death to be able to deal damage as they're dodging the hits, and Death should be dead shortly. I'm never sure with that dodge. This is a weird one. Death is in the wall. I'm not even sure if they can reach it now. Okay, that's better.
Can't have too much more health at this point, but he just seems to never die sometimes. Hit on the backswing, cannot get anything else. Opening the menu, realize, jumping early, barely making it over the sights. He must be dead soon. He goes to like ghost him on the floor or something. That was not the right move, needed to jump over that scythe. Cute Shadow dies so into the fight with a massive time lost. I think we just saw the end of Cute Shadow's and making the top 4.
So people are just thinking, Q Shadow has a lower computer, so it's just streaming at 15 FPS, but their act time is actually like comparable to all other players. It's not like problem for their own gameplay, so it's just like we are seeing lower FPS, but it's they should be doing fine time-wise. They've played with us throughout the entire season, and we had like comparable times and performances between all the players, so do not be too worried. Meanwhile, Melwest, Brothermain, and Double Tifa are making good progress in the Underground Reservoir. Brothermain is a little bit behind Melwest. Melwest is the first one in the 4 Tritons room. We are going to get the Triton Souls because it gives plus 16 strength, which is flat out plus damage, and that's a lot because we are not going to get like incredible weapons. And even if we could, like the best weapons in the game are either a fairly low chance random drop or so much out of the way that it's not worth it. So we are going to stick with our guns and try to get as good damage as we can with what we have on the route.
I'm not sure if it was poisoned when it happened, but he got hit by the mandrake in that one room, was unable to get out of it before the skeleton pulls up the mandrake. If you're quick with your backdashes, you can get a little bit of extra distance and get out of there, but it does a lot of damage, and if you're poisoned, you take like extra damage, so it's almost brought him down to like 40 or 60 HP or something, but was able to hold on and drink. So setting up for manipulations. Brothermain is looking for a Triton Soul. Once you see that horn come out with the little music notes, that means things are probably going to go your way here. Stepping away to not get hit, and there it is, Triton Soul increasing strength by 16. Melwest also manipulating the Flame Demon Soul. I assure you, the Levitane that drops for a big damage increase, gives you fire element instead of ice. Neither element, I think, is all that useful. The way that Holy is certainly for on the Mistletoe for the death fight, but it's really just the big damage increase that we're looking for here.
A bit of confusing menuing in Devil Tifa's side of the screen, but they finally found the reset button that could get back here, sleeping again because they missed the menuing and did not equip the correct weapon, the correct souls. Then you go 2 hits on the breakable wall, the correct jumps above the 2 enemies, so they have the correct patterns. You stay close to the Flame Demon, so you drop the Leviathan, and then you get the correct pattern on the Flame Demon and get the Flame Demon Soul. Brothermain is struggling with the drop, but it should not be a problem. If you struggle too much, you might end up with like 4 or 5 Leviathan in inventory, but no such luck for the player, because that means it's a good for bad. You lose a lot of time, but you have a lot of money to get a lot of potions later on. Melo is getting knifed a couple of times here, but they will go and save before the Balor fight. And Q Shadow is just right now done with the death fight and going to buy potions, so they are about like 3 minutes behind Devil Tifa, Brothermain, and Melwest.
It's not the kind of run I expected to see from a player like Q Shadow, but here we are. They're doing their shopping, buying the potions and war fatigues that they need before they get into the underground patch. Melwest setting up for fight. But if you get hit by something and you are too quick to get back to the middle, you will find that these two fists are kind of out of sync with each other, and it gives you very few opportunities to find some hits. Thankfully, he was able to stay in the middle after he took that hit. But you can already see that they're a little bit more desynced, and it's making it a little more awkward to get the hits. But he is onto the second phase. He's a little bit lower on, but he can take at least one hit, and it's looking like he might not even need to. This has been a very, very clean phase 2. Yes.
I feel like they played a little bit safer than usual, just doing the 2 hits in the way up and down, and not using the double jump, but that was just for safety measures, I feel. They did not pick up the soul that dropped from Balor because they know they have the save to refill completely in the way back. I guess they are going to use that, I'm not sure. And you need to go all the way to the left to pick up the giant bat soul, so it's faster to do it that way. Devil Tifa starting the fight right now. Nice sync between the fists at the start of the fight, obviously, and you really don't want to get hit. Like, those fists pack a punch, and you will eventually die quickly if you start getting desynced and then trying to get back to the middle of the room to hit the boss more, but it can go like down pretty quickly. And very good second fight once again. The second phase for Devil Tifa, and Brothermain doing the exact same thing with the Creaking Skull, and boom, we're done.
Great Balor fights from all three players. West, like you said, just a little safer, but only losing like a second or two perhaps on that fight. Still holds the lead, jumping over some of these needles, just kind of passing through some old areas here. We've got the bat now, so we can access some of the end game stuff, but we're not quite ready. There's a bit more shopping to be done, and we do need our potions. We need our health potions because we are probably going to get hit, and mostly we want some mana potions, but that will be after the what is it? The Graham fight. We're on our way to the top of the tower, and there's some missions coming up that are quite tricky. But even before that, there are some lubricants who are quite good at what they do in being the I don't know, I feel like they should play for the NFL or something. They're so good at stopping you from running into the end zone, and we'll see what strategies people use. Sometimes they use the bat and like juke them out left right. Sometimes they straight to just kill them. Mel West is going to try to bait them left right hither thither. Does get to the that was really good room actually.
Yeah, the perfect manipulation, like the players in the NFL. If you know exactly how to juke them, it's going to be breeze through the room, and Mel West knowing exactly what they do, get the Balor punch to the lubricant, and that's not a move allowed in the in football rules, I think. But here that gets you the Muramasa, that's Mel West equipped, immediately gets the Succubus Soul, and then here is probably the hardest drop because you want to get the pixel perfect placement so you can hit both the Valkyrie and the Minotaur at the same time. Sadly missed the hit, so they moved on. That's exactly what you want to do. You want to try out, and if you miss, you go directly to that room and you have a good backup here. So Mel West resetting once again to reset the RNG and get the exact drop they want. Here we go. The Red Minotaur is the best damage dealing soul in the game, and it's fantastic to have it for the Chaos fight and the Graham Jones fight, so we are going to see that shortly. Brothermain was fighting with the lubricants and finally made it. Devil Tifa is choosing to actually kill those so they can get to the top of the room in one piece.
This is definitely a safer approach. You can take a ton of damage and get stuck feeling pretty bad with these lubricants, and they don't take too long to kill, so that is definitely an option available to some players. Devil Tifa struggling with that one a little bit, but he's going to try again with... he's doing something... Is he just... Oh, he wanted to level up? Maybe? Before starting the manipulation?
They do not want to level up in the middle of the map, so that was maybe it, yeah. And they knew that they would get the level up in the middle of the map, so just went for it. Cute Shadow is super far behind now, just entering the arena. Mel West in the middle of the Graham Jones fight. You need to get the correct souls equipped, so the entire story for Aria of Sorrow is that you get to the Dracula's castle kind of by chance, and you do not know exactly what you're doing there. But as you explore the castle, it turns out you are like an incarnation of Dracula, and if you get the correct souls equipped, you become Dracula more or less. So that's why what you need to do in order to fight the chaos that, I don't know. The story stops here, like being actually making sense, and you just fight stuff and get the Black Panther that allows you to go as fast as you can through the castle, like Mel West is doing, while Brothermain and Devil Tifa are... well, Brothermain is in the middle of the Graham Jones fight, while Devil Tifa is trying to get the Red Minotaur soul.
Mel West is picking up some of these later upgrades and just just tearing away, increasing this lead. Don't think I saw him miss a single hit on Graham throughout that fight. There's a lot of opportunities to, or you lose opportunities due to having to dodge out of the way of this or that. But generally, if you're positioning yourself correctly and facing the way you need to, you can be constantly hitting Graham Jones even when you're getting the laser coming down or the hands in from one side or the other. You're basically not getting caught ducking under an attack if you don't need to, that kind of thing. It was a very good fight. Brother Main is playing very solidly, but is losing a couple of these opportunities. Not much you can do in both hands go, though, unless you want to try to go for some kind of damaged invincibility frame strat. You don't get a lot of iframes in this game, so it would be quite Brother Main wisely finishing off that boss. And with Rex Souls, he is going to continue on in the game. We can take a quick is dancing with some lubricants. Fireman looking for heading to the grand fight. Super Link God is heading for the Red Minotaur Soul, and he gets it. And Ghost Death is quite a ways back, still dealing with Balor. Double Tifa getting to the grand fight now. Brother Main tearing off with that Black Panther. And Q Chatter, who also trails quite a bit, is still navigating their way out of the arena.
Melwest is almost done, and they're going to go to the Julius fight. The Julius fight is arguably, but like the best fight in the game, boss fight. Like, it has good patterns, good music. The boss fight is obviously quite long when you do not have some of the better swords and better souls equipped, but still the runners have some of the best armor and best stuff in the game right now. So everybody is going to use the Kettlebog that does dark elemental damage, so obviously it's pretty good against a vampire killer. And Julius is like pretty good to manipulate. It has a nice flow to the fight because every 4 hits you deal, they're going to go to the stagger stance and become vulnerable for a couple of seconds, and then you have to deal with the cycle again. It's a good one to learn. I enjoy it a lot, and the music is pretty great. You are going to see the players use a lot of manas for that fight, especially if they're using the Death Soul, because that deals a lot of damage, and each time a size hits, it deals 15 damage. It's pretty cool. And yeah, good manipulation by Melwest, knowing exactly how Julius behaves. Julius has 6k HP. Once you've dealt 4k, it will go to the second phase, and the second phase is a little bit easier, but Julius deals so much more damage when you get hit, so you have to pay close attention to your movement. Here we go, second phase starting, while Brother Main gets there, saving. Brother Main once again just going for safety at that point, just wanting to ensure they're in the top 4 to get to the Ultimate Finals. Melwest almost done with Julius, should end up completely first, being first in Eye of Sorrow and first overall.
Especially with good play like on that Julius fight, getting away from a little bit with the axes. It's not often you find yourself getting zoned out by Julius's axes, but that Melwest found himself. He's been playing very well, especially approaching Julius with the jump slashes on the sword for 1 hit, then following it up with another one on the ground as he lands. Those extra hits add up quite a bit, especially when you factor in the 4-hit stagger on the first phase. So overall a very, very good Julius fight. We'll see how it goes for Brother Main, also doing the same thing, those approaching attacks, followed by the crouch. You want to make sure you don't crouch too early, because Julius will read you and duck down and attack you down there. It's one of the most common ways to get hit in the fight. We saw it a little bit there from Brother Main, though maybe it doesn't quite count because he was already crouching under one attack. He correctly baited standing. That's just how it goes sometimes. He managed to duck under the dive kick. I swear the hitbox on that dive kick is so much bigger than it appears. Pretty low on health, so he is going to be able to get into the menu in time. Sometimes, especially if you're in the air, you can get comboed and take moments before you can even get into the menu. But thankfully that was not an issue for Brother Main. Moving on to the second phase. Cute Shadow trying to get some manipulations going, and is he going to be able to get the Red Minotaur?
Yes.
He is.
Nice.
That is a very difficult end to that manipulation, so something at least going his way here late into the run. Melwest dashing through the chaotic realm, and Devil Tifa now joining Brother Main in the Julius fight.
Brother Main is almost done. Julius is on the second phase here. Devil Tifa is actually doing great, but losing a lot of time in the menuing. That's where the rust shows the most for them. They're using the Balor punch, the Balor soul, to deal extra damage whenever they can. Balor deals a lot of damage, but sadly it's slow to land. Like it's not as consistent as the death for the sites. So I'm not sure what's the most value for your mana point. But certainly, like, it makes for a more consistent fight to use the Balor punch, because you can aim it and land it exactly when you want, while the death sights are just going to deal damage over time, but deplete your mana very, very fast.
Brother Mean dashing through the chaotic realm. Melwest stopping for one last save before the end of the boss fight. Not sure if he's keeping track of where his opponents are and knows and what position he is in, but is not interested in any kind of death to the final boss causing some kind of huge upset. So he is going to go ahead and get that refill, get that save, and move on into the final boss fight. Cute Shadow is in the Graham fight. He is switching souls now, I think. Yeah, it was in the item menu for a little bit, but is correctly switching souls before moving on to the next phase. We can see Ghost Death is right with him in that Graham fight. Fireman fighting Ace along with Super Link God. And Kupreek is tearing off towards Juice, I'm sure, with that Black Panther. So everyone's rounds are moving along pretty well. Devil Tifa on the second phase now. Julius must be just about done with this fight, as Melwest is almost just about done with the first phase of the Chaos fight. He is going to get his Red Minotaur soul back right as he defeats that thing, and it is going to be doing most of the work through this boss fight.
This is a tough one. The Chaos 2 is all about menuing and manipulation and knowing exactly how not to die, because like it's pretty easy to get knocked down, by those green orbs and take a lot of damage pretty quickly. So you have to react quickly and use your Red Minotaur promptly as soon as you can, in the center of the room, so it deals multiple damage to every single eye, and then use potions again, and Melwest is demonstrating that swiftly. It's a good fight going on, but it's a lot of menuing, and the eye on top right here has still some HP. I'm not sure, I still don't have an answer. Can you kill Chaos without killing the eyes? You can deal damage to the central orb, but I'm not sure. It's not worth it, obviously, but I'm not sure if you even can, actually.
Well, you're limited on the number of potions you can carry, so even if you had something like the Red Minotaur soul that could punch through all that defense, you'd only have a limited amount of it, so I don't know, but is there a minimum of 1 damage that you do, like, or does it just, like,
yeah, you
zero?
Deal,
I think
you deal with 1 damage, yeah.
So you could do it.
That's only like 3,000 hits. It's okay. Just get like 2 hours and, you know, a cup of coffee for your trouble. And but I'm not sure. Maybe like you have to kill everything for the game to recognize that you've killed the Chaos. So Brother Mean should be done promptly. They killed the 4 eyes, so the Chaos orb at the center doesn't have as much armor, and they're done. Very nice time, and that's over 200 points, so good finish for Brother Main. It's going to be over 1900, I guess.
Super Link just soared over possibly the best video game bird, despite playing for the other team, the Stolas. But Stolas marks most of the way through the Chaotic Realm. Certainly the save room here marks the end of it, almost done. Devil Tifa is just a little bit ahead, already into the Chaos fight in the first phase, getting hit by that charging demon. Hits kind of hard there, so he can get hit by 1 more and go down to single-digit HP, and he definitely knew that, having just taken that hit. So nice awareness there from Devil Tifa, getting into to use the potion. It really is kind of a messy DPS race for this final boss. You have the potions, and it is just so difficult to try to play to dodge all these attacks while you're dealing damage. It just seems so much better to be aggressive, get all of your hits in, and heal through whatever happens to hit you.
I like what they tried to do on that fight, but it's aptly named. It's chaotic. It is like a gigantic mess. The sprites are interesting, but it's hard to read through them. And the second phase here with why the giant worm and why the eyes and why the mirrored weird layout of the screen, and why is the boss just a black orb? Like it's all weird and messy, but still you can make a good fight out of it if you know exactly what you're doing. The red minotaur going out for Tifa here. All the eyes are almost dead, and here we go. And with a lot of mana potions left, yeah, they're going to just punch through the HP here with the red minotaur and just be done quickly. Those are very good runs we're seeing right now. Both Melwest and Bottom being done in less than 35 minutes is crazy good, and everybody else seems to do fine. Cute Shadow is the one that had the most troubled run today.
Yeah, currently on the Julius fight, probably the hardest fight in the game, and when you're, I mean, the death fight certainly is way up there as well, but in terms of executing optimally, I think Julius is. So Cute Shadow is up against the hardest fight on one of their shakiest runs we've seen so far, but they've successfully gotten to the second phase. We'll see if they're able to close it out like Super Link God did on the final boss, finishing just around 37:30, and we're seeing Fireman moving on into that same fight now. The second phase of it is starting, finding those hits on the side, going to the other side before we pull out the red Minotaur Soul, and it begins to do its fantastic work of clearing the screen with that high damage attack. We're seeing these menus. They're pretty good menus, actually. It's a surprisingly important skill here at the end of this run, and you can lose, you know, entire seconds with some sloppy menus. So it's good to see some optimization going on in there.
Yeah, this is good execution overall for Fireman for the entire weekend, I feel. They're currently sitting in 7th place after a 9 game. We'll see how Eye of Sorrow shakes things up, but they had very good trials, and they had a good Spectral, a good D&D's Nye. It's just like Cuphead, DKC, Shovel Knight and Metal Slug that pulled them back down a little bit, but overall they were very pleased with their overall performance. I wonder how they're feeling about today. And Kerpwick, big shout out to Kerpwick actually doing all 10 runs today because they were not available yesterday, and actually having good runs overall with 8-14 on inertia, and we haven't seen much of them because they were actually so close to the top 4 all the time. Starting the second Chaos fight here, obviously opening with the red Minotaur. Once you have that soul, you have to use it, and if you lack the soul, you should watch the boss rush speedrun. It's a pretty cool one.
I can only imagine. The speedrun scene for this game is pretty good, actually.
Yeah. Just a spoiler, it's you enter the room, red Minotaur, boss dies, you move on.
Yeah, that's pretty much the formula I had in mind. This game is a fantastic speedrun. It's a fantastic game. It's attracted the randomizer communities, put together pretty cool random souls and stuff going on that people have latched onto. It's been a treat to watch everyone learn to speedrun this game, all the different aspects of speedrunning that are incorporated into it, the platforming, the boss fights, RNG manipulation, menuing comes in. It really is a fun all-around good time. We've got Cute Shadow into the boss fight now. I think Skunkoff is done. I can't remember which cutscene that one frame is part of.
Yep, this is the final cutscene.
I'm pretty sure it's the final run. Cute Shadow. We needed to see Cute Shadow be among the first to finish if we wanted to see him challenge the top 4, and it turns out he is going to be the last. Unfortunately, after that creaking skull manipulation and the death to itself, you can't really blame him for dying to death itself when you say it out loud like that, but that's the way it went. So we are going to see a 5th, maybe 6th place finish from Cute Shadow, which is still, by the way, totally fantastic. We are talking about the best of the best in the UD season, all competing. And I know, it's got to hurt a little bit to get so close and then fall short, but hopefully Cute Shadow is able to recognize the real depth of their accomplishments today, yesterday, and the whole season.
Yeah, they've been doing great. I know they could not put so much practice later in the season, just because I think they're a teacher, and after the summer it gets harder to put on time in video games. So they were like practicing a lot and speedrunning a lot during the months of July and August, and since September did not have that much time and still put off a superb show today. Really, I was expecting like an upset between like Cute Shadow, Fireman, Ghost Death performances, even Quick. They could have had entered the top 4, but there was a huge lockdown for the final 4. Like Mel West and Super Linga did fantastic. Brother Main just locked everything up with The End Is Nice, Spectrable, and Eye of Sorrow, and Devil Tifa just got consistent time all over the board. So good run for everybody. Ghost Death is going to be our 9th finisher actually today, and they practiced new strat. They wanted a PB live on that final game, and it did not happen. I feel a little bit sad about it, but that was a great season for all those players. Yeah, only 4 will remain for in 2 weeks the live event we are putting up all together. We are going to meet a lot of awesome speedrunners and viewers, and it's going to be great. And we are going to see a lot of speedrun in 2 weeks. But before that, Ghost Death has to beat the Chaos. Second phase should be okay, but I feel like the runners are tired after the weekend. Like, just the menuing is getting a little bit slower than usual here.
Yeah, that could be. We're seeing him adding for the 1 damage hits on the core. He took a hit which is kind of like running into the eye and just staring at it for a little bit too long, and it finally stared back enough to hit 100 damage. But they are all gone now, so he is just going to be focusing purely on getting these axes spinning in the middle of the screen, and he's going to be able to close. He has lots of potions, so he's going to be able to do a bunch of damage. I don't think I've seen anyone have so many potions they didn't have to attack the core at the end. That they were able to just use the axes.
Yeah, nice.
There it is. Oh, nice.
No swing.
This was the last chance I had to see it before Ultimate Finals, and Ghost Death managed to show it off. Thanks so much for that. Going to be finishing under the 44-minute mark. Is everyone, which is, when you step back and think about things a little differently, a 44-minute time in a video game that you learned as part of 10 other games. Like, if you divide the time up, it's about like 20 days to learn a speedrun. That's a really good time to get in 20 days. So, as easy as it is, tapped up in the amazing skill level that the players have got to, really, even our bottom of the leaderboard are fantastic speedrunners.
Yeah, it was a treat to watch all those guys, all those runners, learn all those 10 games with us. They started from like not knowing even like the game casually, and just went learning everything from scratch. Just it got like, it was an awesome season, and it's a very, very good finish. So you have to remember that all those players put so much time in learning those, and just being able to beat those 10 games on time, just being able to beat those 10 games like back to back in one sitting is amazing. And just like, the community smashed the world record for many games. The world record was pushed down by other runners for many games like DKC, Cuphead. Metal Slug did not change. Shovel Knight did not move either. Spectrable got blown away. Eye of Sorrow, the entire round was blown away. Like, Killa in chat found like so many strats and routes and stuff. And Inertia was like destroyed as well. So it was a very, very strong community, and like all those 10 players we are showing today, this is one of the best finish we've had for any season, I feel. Like we can see the scores on screen right now.
1994, 6 points away this time instead of 10. West away from that 2,000 point mark that I know a lot of us want to see. It's instead of looking at it as 6 points short, let's look at it as the monstrous score that it is, and it is 60-70 points above the second place. So Mel West looking quite dominant at the top of the leaderboard. Super Link God jumped into second place after DKC and Inertia, and managed to hold on to that position in 1,929 points. 1911 is where Brother Main ended up, was able to bounce back after a bit of a shaky Inertia and DK with a really strong Spectre Ball and a very, very, very good Area of Sorrow. And then Devil Tifa, who has played the role of the fourth Gatekeeper for the tournament, is going to finish with 1,821 points, which I forget if that was a number we were guessing. I don't think so. I think we were guessing Brother in chat, but someone just got Fireman got the sub there. Congrats to them.
Close guess at 1905. That was actually pretty good.
That is pretty close. But those four names, Mel West, Super Link God, Brother Main, Devil Tifa, they were the favorites coming in, and they did manage to place in the top four. They will connive in the Ultimate Finals in France, October 27th and 28th. So please look forward to that. And of course, we can't go without the shout-outs to our grand finalists, Cute Shadow, Fireman, Ghost Death, Kerpweek, and Skunk Off. They all played very well. There was a long road to get here, and I know that each of them probably has something here or there that they're not quite happy with about their performance over this weekend, but surely they can look over their performance in the season as a whole and be quite happy that they reached this point.
We have Fireman in chat. Maybe they want to come in and say a few words just about their season in general and what their performance is for the weekend. With chat delay, he will answer, and I'm going to move down. Yeah, why not? Cool. So I'm going to drop them with us. And hey, Fireman, how are you doing?
Hello, very fine. That was a very cool tournament.
So you were super happy with your performances yesterday. How do you feel today?
Today was more complicated, especially on Inertia and the Kingdom Country. Inertia was hoping to have a sub 9, and it wasn't this. Too many deaths, stupid deaths. And DKC have done something I didn't believe it. On a super jump, I released the jump button too early, so I fell down at the end of the level. So I lost 2 minutes on this, but overall, my Castlevania was very cool. 50 seconds from my PB. Then this night too, and Spectrable removing the last jump was very cool.
Nice. Yeah, with the fail and having started all over again in Spectrable. How do you feel about that performance overall? 1749. You are 21 points away from Cute Shadow and almost 100 points, 70 points away from qualification for the Ultimate Finals.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I know before the tournament that we're quite impossible for me to be qualified at the Ultimate Final, so I just play for fun. But my first goal was to be qualified at this Grand Final, so I was very happy to perform it. And but overall, yes, the global performance of all players was very insane, and Mel raised near 2,000 points. That's crazy, and most of the players above 1,700 points is comparing to the previous the previous finals. It's very something a very good improvement.
Mythical.
So the competition aspect, we're in the grand finals, so of course we're talking about the real competitive aspects of the UD. But I'm wondering, is this competing in tournaments like this, is this the main draw for you to join something like Ultimate Decathlon, or is it the other things like learning new stuff or with other people, the community? What is it that really draws you to Ultime Decathlon?
Maybe I can say all of this, but to be a part of a community is very cool. You can learn a lot of things to watching run, to you share something on the Discord, on the members. So it's very cool. To do tournaments is very intense, a lot of stressful too, but it's a very good training. And learning how to do tournaments is very different to learning how to do a speedrunning grind. So it's very interesting experience. It's very different from speedrun experience, classic speedrun experience. And they have all of this feeling, all of this experience. Grabbed me from this from Ultime Decathlon, so that's very cool. I very enjoy this UD6.
Cool. Any other question, Mythical?
That was the main
That
one
was it,
for
main
me,
one.
for sure.
Do you know that you will meet with Fireman in 2 weeks in France? I know
Yeah.
Fireman is going to...
Maybe my question is, what do you look like? So I know who to talk to, who's going to shake.
Jeff, have a look
when I
to my
get
stream
there.
one day and you will know. Because
All right.
I'm putting my camera on my stream so you can know. But it will be a pleasure to meet you in 15 days.
So, Fireman, you've been joining the speed gaming tournament for DKC. How would you compare the experience of a single game tournament and a multiple game tournament like the UD?
It's not the same experience at all, I can say. People who works on one game are very crazy and can do some very what the fuck time. I played 5 match and 3 match. My opponent do a sub 36 or something like this, 35.
Wow. Yeah, on DKC.
On DKC, that's crazy. So I lost of my matches. So, but it was a very cool experience, and it's something very cool to be more consistent in this game. Unfortunately, that was not for today, but most of the time when I do my trainings, I was more consistent on DKC with this experience.
Cool. Well, I guess that's it. That's been a very intense weekend for everybody. I know, Mythical, you've been doing a lot of commentary this weekend, but those grand finals were something. So big congrats to Fireman and to all the runners.
Thank you.
Thanks for the few
congrats
words.
Mythical and Twin for the commentary. That's very cool.
It's been my pleasure.
Yeah, it's an honor, to be honest, to be commentating you guys. You are putting a lot of times in learning those games we chose for you, and you sticked with us for 25 weeks. That's amazing. And at the end, in the end, clearly the times are spectacular. So that was crazy. So yeah, if you were here today just for the grand finals, knowing who won, it's Melwest. Melwest with almost 2k points just destroyed all those runs. Their main drawback was probably Shovel Knight with multiple deaths on the boss rush, and still that was a very good run. I'm pretty sure they can do better on a lot of those runs, but overall that was fantastic. So we'll see them along with Super Lingot, Brothermain, and Devil Tifa play live. It's going to be streamed on Speed Gaming. The time frames are going to be shifted a little bit. I'm not sure where exactly, because I've said it. It's going to be a mess because of daylight saving, but it's going to be great. And I hope to see a lot of you in chat, maybe. So we'll have live in place, in situ, French and English commentary, and it's going to be a gigantic technical mess, and it's going to be just super fun to do that all together. So I'm looking forward to it. So big shout out once again to all those 9 runners sticking out for the entire weekend and putting such incredible times on board. I hope those guys are mostly happy with their results, and that was a great season, really.
Absolutely. That's gonna really ramp things up for us. I know some of you have already probably started to filter out. One of the places you may have filtered it to is some of the stuff we have going on Speed Gaming. Ori Randomizer and Celeste happening right now on Speed Gaming 2 and 3. Coming up later today, there's a lot of things starting right at 3. Super Metroid, Link to the Past Randomizer, Final Fantasy, Rando League, Ori Randomizer, The Messenger, Portal, and of course the Link to the Past Randomizer Fall Tournament. Just a little bit after that, Super Galaxy Momodora DDC returns. Not that's the name of the remake, the Wii game actually, but it's, the DKC comes back again, all stages tournament, as well as a showcase on a game that came out recently called The King's Bird, and you may see or hear a familiar voice doing some commentary for that. And that's what you can look forward to on Speed Gaming today, and all kinds of other days. You're going to have to find something to entertain yourselves for the next weekend, because we're not going to be there. We're going to be in France having fun, actually. Sorry, you're not. Most of you are not invited. Actually, that's not true. People are invited to come hang out if you want to travel to France.
Well,
for some people living in France, it's much easier. Yeah, just a little. It's just a small little technicality.
Either travel to France or win the grand final. So you just missed it, but that was your only chance to get invited. But if you are near France or close to France, and you want to take the plane and get to the hassle to actually travel to France and all that jazz, you are totally invited. It's open to the public.
So but that'll be you'll see this from your home if you decide to stay home, October 27th and 28th. So next weekend, we're not there. You'll have to find something else to do. Speed Gaming has you covered, of course, with all kinds of other content. And I really hope you guys enjoy the finals on not next weekend, but the one after.
Yeah. See you soon.